Boys and girls, loved ones of all ages, we are here. We are back with another episode of Bussin' with the Boys, episode 235. Lots to talk about. Oh, you put your hand up like 5? 235. Lots to talk about, but you know what? I am a little tired. I'll get into that in a second right after this ad read about how my night went last night, because this is not only a podcast for the boys by the boys, but it is also my own therapy session that I need to vent in on a daily basis. If I could just get that ad read up, I swear to God, I'll read it. Just need that thing to be popped up. Summer is here. What better way to take advantage of all it has to offer than with the Chevy Silverado? Silverado Summer. Think of all the possibilities, from off-the-road adventures to DIY projects and hardcore work. Silverado has the capability and technology to make this summer the best one ever. With 9 different Silverado models to choose from, engines that range from a powerful Turbomax to a 6.2-liter V8 and the Duramax Basel. You can count on Chevy power and performance to get anything done. Like many of you, we've been hitting the road a lot lately, and it seems like everywhere we go, there's an army of Silverado and Silverado owners. So shout out to all of you, game recognized game. Head over to Chevy.com and check out Silverado and all the Chevy trucks, the official truck of Bussin' with the Boys.
Hey, how nice is it when we do call an Uber and it is a Chevy Silverado?
There's nothing better. It makes the vlogs go a whole lot better because we know what we kind of have to do on the back end. Can't be showing those other vehicles, but when we're in a drive, those big conversations like from New York to Vegas, when I was really putting my place in the best way possible, I grew as a man during that. And if we weren't in a Chevy, we might not have been able to capture those kind of moments. So that is extremely special. And the guys who drive the Chevys, dude, they just kind of, you can tell you feel a little safer. The tires grip a little bit better. The suspension's a little bit better. You can just, you're going to get from point A to point B with safety, style, and comfort. But listen, I'm a little exhausted today. There was a tragedy in the Lewan household. Oh, no. Last night, my kids and I, we do chorn every single night. My oldest daughter, when she goes, she gets the eggs from the chickens. I'll tell you what, I want to talk about that too, because there was a fucking deal last week right during the UFC fight, so I'm actually glad you guys didn't come over for it. We'll talk in that too. This might be a little event session for me today. I go chore with my kids. We got bunnies, we got chickens, we got a singular duck, we got goats, and we got a Great Pyrenees to watch our goats. And every day we go and we do the chore together because these kids need to know responsibilities. And if we're going to have all these animals, then obviously they're going to have to learn X, Y, and Z about these things to keep these little bastards alive. So we go, Wynn hits the chickens like she always does, goes, picks out all the eggs, does an amazing job. She has her little basket. That's incredible. Their favorite part is going to see the bunnies, because part of the bunnies is they stay out there, they're cute and adorable. They bring nothing. But they're essentially loitering in my house. They don't really bring anything to the table. However, they love to hold them. They love to pet them, and it is kind of an opportunity to make them a little more friendly when it comes to hand-to-hand combat between a kid and a little tiny bunny. I go to open the door, and I see our biggest bunny, Easter. There's 3 bunnies. There's Easter, Snickerdoodle, and Spot. Easter is kind of just laying there. I'm like, yo, that's weird. Easter's usually got a little more pep in his step. He's a big bunny. He likes to rip around a little bit, and as soon as he hears the door opening, he likes to get outside because those kids can be a little messy with the whole deal. I open it up, and I know right away, this bunny's dead as a fucking doorknob. This bunny has seen its last day. And I just think to myself, oh, fuck, when my 6-year-old is going to see this and she's going to shit her pants. I go, oh, what's Easter doing over here? And she's like, grab him. I want to hold him. And I look at him, and I there's no way around it. I have to face my children and let them know that the good Lord took this bunny from us and is now hopefully in bunny heaven. I don't know this guy's backstory. I don't know what he's doing when I'm not around, but we're going to hope he's made it to heaven. My daughter takes a deep breath, stares at him, and just starts to fucking lose it, man. She starts to cry, and she's talking about how great of a bunny he was and all the things he's done for our family and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, this bunny really didn't do that much, but I'm so glad that her heart is so pure and beautiful to where that she's looking at this bunny in such a beautiful light. I'm starting to remind her we've had 2 bunnies in the past, Meatball and Jeff. They've passed away, and now Easter's probably with Meatball and Jeff now. And like, what a beautiful thing, because Jeff was Easter's brother. Like, they were boys. And last summer, Jeff found his demise, which actually hurt me probably the most. Jeff was my favorite bunny of the crew. I named him. And yes, Jack.
I might have missed this. How did this most recent bunny pass? Just natural causes, or
I don't know. He's only 2 years old. I have no idea. We're gonna send him in. We're gonna send him in, and we're gonna figure out what happened to this poor bunny. Because bunnies, if you're looking up how long bunnies live, it's about 8 years in captivity. I've already checked that because I thought, is that an old age for a bunny? it wasn't. And like this last week, it's been really hot outside, and that's how the last bunny went versus back hind legs went, and it was kind of a sad little deal to see him kind of dragging them legs around. That's a whole bit of a deal. This is a kid's show. I'm not going to bring that into everything, but it was very sad. Now Easter, Des Jordan, I'm stiff as a board. My daughter's losing her fucking mind. I did look into it. It was a cool day yesterday. It was kind of overcast, a little bit breezy. Like it was great. It was a great day to be a bunny in the outside. So I have no idea how this bunny died. I gotta look into it a little bit more. I'm consoling my daughter. I go, you want to build him a grave? Do you want to make him a grave? And she's like sniffling. Yes. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll build him a grave, sweetie. Like we're gonna have a nice little eulogy for the bunny. It's 7:45 at this point. Like my kids, I start to put them down at 6:45. Right? They get an easy 12 hours of sleep every single day. That's the kind of dad I am because we have fucking a good little regiment going. But it's 7:45, so we're already an hour past the bedtime. It is what it is. I start to dig into this fucking ground. Boys, I was with the shovel for 20 minutes, 20 goddamn minutes, shoveling, trying to get in, literally jumping on top of the shovel just to get it a little bit deeper. I got that motherfucker 4 inches deep, max, dude. And I think, hey, it's not gonna, this is it. I'm gonna come back later. I'm gonna give the bunny the old fucking, the catapult, send him on his way, send him flying in style. Like that's gonna have to happen to this poor damn bunny. But we got to look out for the rest of the crew. We can't have predators rolling around. So we get like a stick and we put it down, and that's now his tombstone. And Wynn gives, by God, what a well-spoken 6-year-old, gives the most beautiful eulogy. It almost brought a tear to my eye. And then the rest of the night until about 10, 11 o'clock at night was me essentially consoling her. My 3-year-old is a psychopath. She looked at this bunny. She goes, is it dead? I said, yeah, it's dead. And she goes, okay. And then kind of went about her merry business. We're going to have to unpack that later because that's a little scary.
She's a suspect.
She might be a suspect in this whole thing. She might be a suspect. It was kind of that was a weird deal, but I feel like we'll definitely get to that later in life. I got to deal with this 5-year-old who's losing her mind. She wants to call everybody. And this is the worst part. I had to grab the bunny and I had to put the bunny in its shallow grave. And as I'm grabbing the bunny, like rigor mortis has truly set in. His eyes all squished on one side because the boy was laying on his right side when I picked him up. And I pick him up, but the other eye's wide open. And seeing the eye wide open for my daughter gave her a glimmer of hope. And so pain, like it was happiness to see the bunnies, horrible pain to see death of a bunny, glimmer of hope to see an eye open. Maybe he was tricking us the whole time, to now we have to restart the whole sadness of everything. That really kicked off the night for the Lewan household. My wife, God love her, she's in Italy having the time of her fucking life, ripping around. Italian boys probably salivating all over her. Good for her. We all need that. We all need a boost once in a while. You know, you go out when we go on spring football tour and there's, one girl that's like, oh yeah, you're, handsome boy or whatever. We've all gotten a compliment and you're like, yeah, I fucking needed that. So good for her. I'm dealing with this at home and it's a bit of a fucking deal. So that's how I feel. In a more positive light, JP, did you have something to say, brother?
I was just going to say, you talking about how shallow it was. I feel like Wynn's going to be running around in the backyard. She like trip over the mound.
Dude, okay. It's all tucked away where they don't really run. So that's one positive. But this morning it was, I want to see Easter. I want to see Easter. It's already raining outside. And I know that a predator's probably dug that motherfucker. I haven't been out there. I haven't been to the site yet. Willow's feet were a little muddy this morning, which makes me a little worried she was out there finishing the job on the other bunnies. But fuck, dude. Like, I literally was like, we can't see him right now because it's raining outside. Hey, praise Jesus. It was raining outside today. Your boy doesn't like rain, but thank God, right? And so I'm thinking, that motherfucker's probably slipping sliding around this property somewhere. I'm going to have to go find his ass later. Hopefully a bobcat or something can snatch him up for me, do the boy a favor. So that is a big fear. In a more positive light, 9 minutes and 18 seconds into this podcast, the Beer Olympics has officially come out in the vlog. Now, it did take over a month, but I would like the boys to give JP a round of applause for putting that thing together. It was an art. I truly, brother, it's a 45-minute long video, and I've watched it on 4 separate occasions. And I genuinely laugh. I was there. But it's so fun to see the different dynamics, the confession corner, all of that. I get fucking mad. I get fucking angry as fuck seeing Kittle and DeForest Buckner, but sometimes you need those losses to put things into perspective and really jump yourself to the next deal. Like Will and I got to get in the film room. We got to take the coaching the way we need to take it and get on the practice field and start a little early in the practice. I'm thinking as soon as possible. When I get back from Canada, which I'm leaving for tomorrow, and he's already going to be back, we get in the lab a little bit and start working. One thing I didn't notice during the Olympics was him having a ping pong ball in his hand.
That was crazy.
That was wild. And I was texting with him yesterday about it, which would be Wednesday. This is Thursday. This podcast is coming out Tuesday. I was like, I genuinely don't believe you actually cheated on purpose. And he, via text, you can't read emotion, he really seemed like I wasn't cheating. And I have no choice but to believe that man. He's a man of character. He's a man of character. So for those of you who see that and think Will's scummy for it, I would do that. I will tell you right now, you give me an inch, I'm going to take a mile when it comes to those kind of competitions. I'm going to do that. Will, not the individual. James Neal, dead to this family. Dead to us. He'll never be invited back to the house again. I see it, and it's just like a fresh wound every single time I see him put his ass in my face as I'm trying to pick up that ping pong ball. What a fucking time. Was there a special moment for you guys that maybe wasn't on film that you loved so much? Excuse me?
The whole, like, you guys wrestling in the pool, I thought was hilarious.
I loved that, dude.
But, I mean, we were all kind of sober dealing with a bunch of drunk people, so.
Yeah, that had to be a fucking deal for you guys, huh?
For sure.
Yeah. Anybody else? You guys feel good about it?
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
This had nothing to do with the Beer Olympics, but it took place at it. The boys were obviously grinding all day. Didn't get to eat much, and at one point during the end of the day, me and Mitch went absolutely house on this to-go thing of wings from Martin's. And we're like, all right, we're just going to get like one or two. And like, no lie, we probably both took down like 12 wings in like 10 minutes. Yeah, just kept going one more. And like, we're just walking around
Hell
the yard.
yeah.
And so for me, personally, that was a great moment in the
So
day.
getting food during Beer Olympics was your
Yeah.
best moment.
Yeah.
I get that. I get it.
I wish we would have thought this out a little more, but we should give out some accolades.
Yeah.
Yeah, some superlatives.
I'm going to have to Google superlatives later. Is that essentially the word for accolades? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm super down with that. Is there something that comes to mind of
Nah, yeah.
MVP?
I
Who would
mean,
you say?
MVP to me, based off the footage, has got to be Defoe.
Really?
Buckner. Yeah, he crushed it every game.
Dude, seeing him hit that shot glass and getting the slow-mo shot. Who got that shot?
Yeah, wasn't
All
me.
right, Mitch, nice work, dude. Because it was perfect. I watched that video before it came out with Nick Bennett and his father. And literally he throws it on the ping pong ball and they hit and he takes a shot. And he's like, man, it would have been great if you had slow-mo. Seriously, cuts right to the slow-mo. I was like, fuck. These boys are really fucking on top of it.
Dude, yeah. I mean, dude, DeForest, like all of the beer ball games, he's not missing. And like they were getting screwed a lot with like how much was left in his thing.
Yeah, there's got to be a rule on that for sure.
Gotta be a rule.
We gotta iron out some rules for sure. I was at Kittlefest a week after, 2 weeks after, and he's got a whole different way he plays beer ball, where you literally have to like blow in the can, make sure there's not one drop, and hold it over your head for 3 seconds. And if there's one drop, you have a whole new beer. I think that's a fucking. I like the way because it is truly a pure way of playing. However, with the tempo of the game and how long this Beer Olympics took, that's not going to be a rule that's going to be put in place. Like there just needs to be a little more leniency on how sloshy that can is at the end. I get it for the chug because the chug you're supposed to consume the entire beer, but for the beer ball, it is definitely one of those things where it's like get the beer down. If there's a little bit left, it is what it is. But there needs to be some sort of measuring stick, which could be a beer cap, could be a shot glass, whatever. I thought it was really good. I thought the boys did a phenomenal fucking job during that, dude. And it's been. I mean, we just looked at the numbers a second ago, and that's awesome. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is fucking awesome, man. And I also, one thing we should do is get 2 fans to come next year.
Yeah.
We should do a raffle or something and maybe put on an amateur event and invite 10 teams. We're not in it. And the winner of that event comes and plays a week later. A qualifier. How do we feel about that?
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, I mean that would be tough
Does
because
seem like a lot.
You can really tell that you boys, you guys took, it was a hard day's work. It was a hard day's work doing that.
you'd be hosting 2 events and 10 teams, a lot of people to like bring out here and
Yeah, they wouldn't be at my house. We just go somewhere. We would just go to some,
woods.
we'd go to the old shed we were at behind the abandoned church. But yeah, dude, what a fucking time. But let's hit some we had Nate Bargatze coming on the podcast. He was incredible. Obviously, he's a Nashville kid. A lot of stories about being a kid, lawnmowers, his first job, shitty jobs. We have an excellent Dude Cannon, or sorry, not Dude Cannon, a Dude Wipe segment with him. Shittiest time in his life, and his career, and what happened. And then obviously the twisted question this week is going to be him, the drunkest he's really ever been. And it was a phenomenal story as well. I think you guys are really going to do that. But with that being said, let's hit some shout out, no free shout out. JP, we'll start with you. The mic's closest.
My shout out, no free shout out. This morning, I was at Cracker Barrel, and we had an amazing waitress, Roberta. And my shout out, no free shout out goes to waitresses that make you feel like they're almost like act like your mom, how they talk to you. They're like, what can I get for you today, baby?
Yeah.
And they just start rubbing your shoulder and like,
love
oh
and
yeah,
affection, get that
exactly. And it just makes you feel so good. You feel so welcome. You feel so safe. So I would like to shout out those waitresses that make me feel like their little boy.
Shout out over handsy waitresses, dude.
Yes.
I love that.
How many stars that you have on her apron, do you know?
No, I don't know.
Because the Cracker Barrel waitress, they have like a ranking system. I think it's how many years you've been. If you get a 5-star waitress, like you're dealing with some shit.
Is she older?
No, I mean she's probably like 40s maybe, but looked like she was in her 20s.
Wow, Roberta. So she was kind of a rocket too, huh?
Yeah.
Who are you with?
Donnie and some other guys. You know Donnie.
What was roommate Donnie?
Ex-roommate.
Ex-roommate Donnie?
Yeah.
Love Donnie. He's
dude,
fantastic.
The best.
Mitch, you want to go? I'm blanking.
My shout out, no free shout out this week goes to just like a fresh loaf of bread that's super soft. It just makes your sandwiches
Hell yeah.
so much better. It's just like, it just takes your sandwiches to the next level. You know, you get that like, not stale, but it's just like a little bit more like crustier, a little bit like just not as soft, but you get that soft bread, dude.
That soft bread. Full loaf, you got to cut it yourself.
No, like,
oh,
typically it's like that, like, or a potato bread, like that shit's always soft.
All right.
But I mean, fire me up with some soft bread. And like one thing my mom taught me is this is a little pro tip. When you go to your like grocery store, look, and you're getting like white bread or wheat bread or whatever it is, look at the top of the loaf. The whiter it is, like the more fresh it is and the softer it is. So what do you mean what? That's exactly what it is. That's exactly how it works. But
the whiter the bread, the better the
softer it is.
The softer it is.
Shout out soft bread.
Wow, people want to say I don't go to the grocery store. He didn't even know the word grocery store. That is kind of crazy.
You ever got that selfie?
Yeah. It's been a busy week. It's been a busy week. I gotta go to the grocery store. And, we're running low on groceries. I should probably head over there today.
What grocery store do you go?
I go to Whole Foods in Green Hills, actually. Thanks for asking. Yeah. I know the whole fucking place upside down. I'm there so much. Yeah. You turn it upside down, I'd still be able to figure my way around there. That's how much I know the place. Gee, what do you got?
My shout out, no free shout out this week is, so I was at Nickelback on Tuesday or Monday, but Tuesday, and just scanning the crowd. Like, I'm a casual Nickelback fan, I guess, like, the popular ones, but the people in the crowd that were having the time of their life, I just kind of like had an appreciation. Like, you just kind of see from a distance, like, yo, they're living their best time right now. And I was just scanning the crowd, just like, just kind of laughing. Like, this is so sick when people have such a love for something that I'm such a casual fan of.
Yeah.
So that's my shout out.
So shout out diehard fans.
Diehard fans.
I love it. The tier ones of Nickelback.
Yeah.
Fucking in it. Just like for Blink. Now I was going to ask that question concert wise. Take away all the guests they had. Cause I literally walked into rehab the next day and the receptionist at the desk, she said she went to Nickelback. Said Ernest was out there. Hardy was out there.
7 people.
Just a wild amount of people. So take that away.
It was
strictly Nickelback or Blink-182. Same place. How did we feel?
Same, but different.
Which one would you rather go to?
I mean, I would rather go to Blink.
Good.
But Nickelback was pretty wild. They had flames and shit. Dude, they
had flames at the Blink-182. They had the fog thing come up too.
Yeah, I mean, but it was like I could feel it, and I was in the nosebleeds.
Was there a drummer suspended in the air?
No, but they were on the pod, and so it felt like I knew them a little.
That's true. That is true. The callback of having a familiar face when you see him on stage having a good time.
Yeah, it
I
was
can see
cool.
why that changed
He
your
was hitting
judgment.
a double pedal and everything. It was like they were kind
Nothing
of
Travis
getting.
can't do, but I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure,
Travis
for
is the
sure.
best drummer of all time. I don't even think it's arguable.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No, but
But it was sick. You should have gone.
yeah, I wish I could have. But these kids, man,
These bunnies.
these bunnies out here, these fucking. I got to keep this livestock alive.
No
Keep
doubt.
them rolling. Jack, have you gathered your thoughts? Holy fuck, man. This is. I mean, G usually he's had this happen to him twice. This happened to you once. This is very unlike you.
This would be the first time, but no, I think my shout out goes to, and you will not understand this unfortunately because you're rich. Shout out to when you are folding your laundry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, dude, shit. Yeah, go ahead.
And you fold the very last piece, whether it's like a shirt or usually for me, I leave the socks to the end to match them all up. And it's when your laundry is officially folded and you are done with it. It's like completing a process or a task is very like calming to me. So once that's done and it's all lit out on the bed, or even just like the last time you put it into the drawer, it's like, all right, I accomplished what I needed to do today. Let's move on to the next thought.
I wish I could share the same experience, but
Because it will be my pet peeve.
but can we jump to pet peeve?
We can in a second. I need to kind of unpack the fact that the boys in the back don't think I do anything. That is fucking tough. I do laundry.
You do laundry?
I do my laundry. I put it in the hamper for God's sakes. Put that shit in the
When was the
hamper.
last time you washed and folded laundry? And it's okay. I want to get to the point where I don't
It's
have
been
to do
about-
that. A decade?
No, not a decade, but it's been about 5 years since
And
I've
that's
actually
fine.
done
It's
my
not-
own
it's not a
laundry.
shot at you. I think everybody wants to get to the point where they don't do their laundry anymore. That's
Yeah.
like, I've made it.
I hated doing laundry and I hated color coordinating socks so much that I never even tried it once.
I don't color coordinate. I just
I'm
wash
sorry, like
on
match.
cold
You
water.
said match them. You said don't leave
you
them to
just,
the end.
you just throw socks together?
Yeah, if they're two white socks, maybe they have a different toe or a different heel. Them boys are going together. Enjoy each other. Make friends because you guys are going to be together for a minute.
Okay.
Usually when I put socks on, they go for about 48 hours. I'm just going to let you know. I'm a dirty boy. But yeah, I fuck up that grocery store though. I'll tell you that. Oh, damn, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
You ever seen that interview? It was like Bill Gates and it was on Ellen, I think. And Ellen's literally quizzing him on like basic grocery products and how much they are. He's like, a gallon of milk. And he's like, $20. And they're like, what? Like, what? All this, it's fucking how I'm feeling right now. So I need to get that out. But yeah, we can go right to pet peeve after I give out my shout out, no free shout out. My shout out, no free shout out is simple. It could easily be a pet peeve of others, but it's when the cafeteria is referred to as the dining hall. I think it gives it more of a prestige. It just feels a little bit better when you, hey, where you headed off to? And people say, instead of cafeteria, they say, oh, I'm going to the dining hall right now. It gives it that Hogwarts type of feel. You're kind of going, you're doing a little something extra when legitimately we're kind of staying in line for the buffet table and these things have been under heat lamps for about 15 to 20 minutes. It's not going to taste as good as you think, but now it's dining hall. And I do enjoy the phrase dining hall over cafeteria. What?
Nothing, bro.
Don't say when's the last time you've been to a cafeteria. Don't fucking say that, dude. 9 years. And in a couple of years, I'll say 10. 9 years in the league. There's a cafeteria
That's
in there.
That's true.
So I also didn't eat my food in the cafeteria. I had my food made for me and I brought that from home. But I'd go in the dining hall and I would eat there. God damn it.
We gotta send Taylor to camp.
Go
It's a true summer camp.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I do kind of hate myself right now. But let's start with G on pet peeve of the week.
Damn it, he's going to steal mine, but it's opposite sides of the corner.
Yeah, so going off of the momentum of Jack's shout out, when you finish your laundry, this is something that just comes with having roommates, but it's when your roommate starts laundry, but then leaves the house and his stuff is in both the washer and the dryer.
That's you, McPherson.
So I've had a delayed, my schedule's thrown off.
Yeah. Nothing pisses me off more than when my roommates leave their shit in the washer and dryer. That bugs the shit out of me.
And it wasn't just I left like normal clothes. I did my sheets and my comforter. And normally I'll do the comforter every other time I wash the sheets because it's just, the comforter is huge and it takes a lot. So I had the comforter being washed and then I put it in the dryer and it's so big I can't fit the other stuff in it. And so my throw blanket and sheets are still in the wash, soaking wet because it didn't spin them correctly. And then my actual comforter is in the dryer. I dried the thing 3 separate times and it still won't dry. So I did feel bad this morning. I go to see if the comforter's good, still wet. I'm like, did he do his stuff and then move mine back in there? I realized he just took his dirty clothes back upstairs to wait until. So my pet peeve is when your fucking comforter refuses to dry. Yeah.
It's on the comforter.
A good twofer. Yeah, it's on the comforter.
Yeah, no, you're right. I wanted my sheets to be soaking wet all night.
Most of us do.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. Sorry, G.
JP, what you got for us on Pet Peeve of the Week?
Oh, my pet peeve of the week is when you're on the interstate and there's a lot of cars out there and it's at night and the person behind you has their high beams on. There's no reason to have their high beams on. It's not like they're trying to send a message, get over. It's clearly they just forgot that they're on. And it just pisses me off because I feel like I check the rearview mirror even more when I know their high beams are on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Got to move the thing up a little bit.
Yeah, you try to adjust it, but then you're like, I wonder if they're still on.
Yeah,
it just
and you
keeps
get in there.
pissing you off.
And you're staring at 2 of those little balls, light balls. That if you stare into a light for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
When's the last time you stared at a light bulb, man?
Man, I do got to go to camp. Mitch.
My pet peeve of the week is when you get a new app on your phone and you just have to reorganize your entire app layout. This is a very first world problem. But we had to get the Google Calendar app for work and stuff. And it just grinds my gears now that I have to figure out where everything else is and just have to make it all fit in the way that I want it. But super first world problem, but I just hate getting new apps because I know I'm gonna have to reorganize my phone.
Same. I don't organize any of my shit at all. All right. My pet peeve of the week is going to go when you have ankle socks on and you're walking and you're traveling with the boys and that sock comes off of your heel and then slowly inches down towards your toes and sits in the middle of your foot. And the rest of the day, it's a very soft rock, just kind of pressing into the soft point of your foot. That shit pisses me off. That is my pet peeve of the week.
Solid.
Thank you.
I believe we have to do a tier talk though, because we didn't do one with Nate.
Fuck yeah, I'm all about a tier talk.
Should we do best things about camp?
Let's do best
grocery store items.
Let's grocery store items. Do you guys want to do camp or grocery store items?
No. We can do.
Let's do camp.
Yeah, we can do.
All right, let me take a couple minutes.
Did
To
you
look back at
have you been to camp? And that's just not like a slide.
I've been to camp. I was at camp for a week when I was 14. No, 12. I went to go see my grandparents and I got a little too much, so they sent me to camp for a week. That was not as fun as you think. But yeah, let's take 5. All right, we're back with Tier Talk. Tier Talk today is going to be best things to do at camp.
I need to read this.
After we talk about something that most of the camp counselors do at camp. Let's drink some whiskey, boys. Summer Fridays are a thing of the past. It's time for Friday Rye Day with Whistle Pig Whiskey. Grab yourself a glass, pour some Whistle Pig Whiskey, and get out there probably at camp. Whistle Pig, piggyback 100% rye, aged 6 years. Made with 100% rye, bold spice forward, perfect. Wait. Bold spice forward, perfect for maple old fashions. Which one is that? 6 years right here. That boy's a little hitter right there. That's a nice little deal. Goes down real smooth. Whistle Pig Piggyback 100 proof bourbon, age 6 years. 100 proof, shines in sour and citrus cocktails. Piggyback Rye's way better half. Wait, I just put way in there for no reason. Piggyback Rise, better half. And then there's Whistle Pig 10 year, the one that started Whistle Pig, the original disruptor, age 10 years, 100 proof. You boys in the comments, let us know how you celebrate your Rye Day, because that fall's coming. And this whiskey's about to change flavors on you real quick, because that's how good it is. Grab yourself a bottle of Whistle Pig whiskey and kiss your workday goodbye with Summer Rye Day. With that being said, Tier Talk this week is now. Things to do at camp. Obviously, God tier is going to be drink Whistle Pig whiskey. That's going to be God tier. Boom. Done. We will, you know what? I want to go first. I would like to go first. And all of my three go together. My tier 3 of being at camp, and I'm taking myself back to being a child, the 1 week I was at camp, 12 years old, was nighttime telling scary stories with your friends. That to me, dude, the sheer terror after you're done telling scary stories, and the shittiest kind of scary stories. And everyone's kind of sitting there and the lights finally, okay, it's time to go to bed. The camp counselor's getting upset. Hey, you guys need to turn the lights off. It's over. Those creaks get a whole lot louder. That wind at night gets a whole lot louder, and you feel very, very uncomfortable as you fall into slumber. Might not do it until the break of dawn, actually. So a lot of sleepless nights. My tier 2 is going to go with my tier 3, because this is where usually the scary stories happen, and that is around a bonfire. Bonfires with the boys, hanging out. That is the illumination of a fire on somebody's face as they're telling you about some creature in the forest. What a place to get scared. And then my number 1, my tier 1 for going to camp is going to be making new friends. It's nerve-wracking at first. You can tell as you get there, because you're never the first one there. There's already groups where they're finding and forming their own cliques, and you find your group. You're only together for a certain amount of time, but truly, for whatever reason, camp and little tiny excursions like that, where you're not there for a very long time, bonds are formed so quickly. You'll never speak to them again. Don't get it twisted. These are seasonal friends, not a lifetime friend, but that seasonal flame is so beautiful. So making new friends is my tier 1.
Solid.
Bonding.
Veteran.
Fire.
Thank you. I especially appreciated Jax. I felt like it came from the heart.
I honestly didn't even remember that I've been doing that bit, and so that was just an authentic solid.
I will take that. I think you're lying, but I'll take it.
I swear to God. I was like, oh shit.
Mitch, Garrett, you guys are up next. You guys are closest ones to me.
All right. So my our tier 3 is it's just being outside. Just little kid, like just when you're kids and stuff at that age, all you want to do is just be outside and like being with like you said, making new friends and stuff, just doing random shit outside, probably like stuff you shouldn't be doing, but like just running around, ripping around.
Yeah.
Our tier 2, that camp lunchtime is different, in my opinion. You get the softest bread
In the dining hall.
at the same time, like you're like all morning, you're just out there doing activities and stuff. And then like you build up this massive appetite, and then you just go back to like your dining hall or wherever you're like where your home base is, and you eat lunch, and you're just surrounded by like your buddies and stuff that you make, and you're just recapping the morning, be like, oh, I can't wait to what we're doing in the afternoon, stuff like that, just getting excited. And then tier 1 is just the games and stuff that you play at camp are games that you'll never ever play again, like different sorts of tags and stuff like that. But like when you are, humble brag, like the most athletic person at camp, you just feel like you're winning everything. You're always kind of getting picked first. It's just a little pat on the back. I mean, it is what it is. But like, and then you have like your other like athletic friends that are like just with you and just riding with you. It's just fun. It's just fun. It's just fun playing those games at camp.
Sounds like it.
That is our tier talk.
Elitist.
Testosterone.
Solid.
Humble brag, but you're the most athletic at camp. Get the fuck out of here, dude. One highlight tape surfaces with Mitch.
Trash camp.
I'm sure everybody here is probably the most athletic at their camp.
We are the most athletic podcast in the game.
True.
Without a doubt.
Fact.
I
Sure everybody at their camp that they went to, their respective ones, they were the most athletic.
Yeah.
we should talk about golf too, but I want to hear you guys' tier talk.
Those were solid lists. You guys,
Yeah.
y'all did leave out the most crucial, but we will get there. Honorable mention goes to Camp Chance, and it usually takes place in the dining room. So when all the boys, it's right in that sweet spot of lunch,
Dining hall.
when everyone's still a little juiced from like maybe a little pretty intense flag football game or whatever you're playing. You get in there, you start beating on the tables, you know, like whatever it is, food fight. It's just something that bonds everyone against the superiors, the camp counselors, that weird parent who tags along because they can't like let their son go for a week, whatever it may be. So that's honorable mention. Number 3 is it just meeting?
Yeah, meeting people from new cities.
Yeah, meeting people from new cities. It's like the first exposure you get as a kid to people who live outside of your like general area. So you're like, oh, like this kid's from fucking Nebraska or whatever, or Colorado. And you're like, people actually do live outside the 20 miles that I've existed in my, what I know is life. So you kind of like start to grow and develop. Number 2 would be cool camp counselors, but specifically, it's usually on that last night of camp. If you have a cool camp counselor, they let you like sneak out, whether it's to like go like prank another cabin or kind of like you form like a really good bond with your group of guys. So like you just get to go like hang out like in the field and like throw rocks or some shit, just like cut up and be bad kids for a little bit. So like shout out to the good camp counselors. And the number 1 that I feel like you guys didn't even mention and is the best thing as an adolescent is camp crushes. It's your first experience at love. And you know, maybe it hurts more than you want to care to admit, but you know the relationship's never gonna work. But for that 5 or 6 days you have with this person, it's like by like day 4, all your boys know about it. And like you walk into the dining hall and they're like, oh, yo, like there she is. You know, like you go like drop like a fork off at her table and they're like, what is this? And you like throw a wink like you just dropped off some gold or whatever. You're like, so yeah, the camp crush, it like really opens you up as a kid and shows you like the potential of what love could be. So
there is a moment where you do believe that you will end up with your camp
No
crush.
question.
Like our paths will cross again. And God.
And usually going back to our second, that last night that you get out, sometimes if you're lucky, the girl counselor gets to go out as well. And you guys meet up under the moonlight, share a little, you know, intimate kiss.
Over with the shirt stuff.
Yeah, you go back home, tell all the boys, you're like, you'll never even believe what happened at camp this year.
Kissing and telling.
I had my arm around her the whole night.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All's fair at camp, dude.
it's fair game.
Man.
Like, yeah, I had a boyfriend. Like, you know, whenever I love you more. Like,
The thing is, when we say camp crush, I know everybody in the bus immediately thought of one name, which is a cool bond to have.
Haley.
please take me back.
I miss you so much.
You want to talk about golf?
Yeah, I do want to talk about golf. I owe the golf world an apology. I'm not saying I'm a country club guy, so don't get it twisted. But I will say we were in Ann Arbor, Michigan this past weekend seeing the 2023-2024 national champion University of Michigan Wolverines, doing a couple of little pods, little things that'll live on YouTube. I can't wait for you guys to see them. But we went down and hit a couple balls at the driving range. I've picked up a club 5 times in my life. And I got to be honest, I was nervous. There was a lot of people around, a lot of gentlemen that look up to me actually in that area. Humble brag. And when I grabbed that club, I was like, fuck, man, all right, don't mess this up. And I literally just thought back to watching people, taking the small notes. I literally asked Garrett for a second, hey, what do I do? That type of thing. And I hit it. And I hit it well. I hit that ball. And I really didn't think, because there was one kid going before, I can't believe he got a scholarship to play football because the way he was betting and using that team mobility, I thought, oh man, I don't know if this kid plays. No idea who he was. No idea who he was. But the way he was trying to swing it, I was like, please God, just don't look like that. And then obviously Jack catches a video from behind. And it's probably the most excited I've been to look at a video real quick. Like, hey, let me see that. Let me see that. Let me see that. Like, how did I'm literally judging myself. And I thought, damn, the boy looked kind of nice there. Obviously, the clubs are too small. No idea what the fuck that means. Everybody says that in the comment section because I did read the comment section about 40 times because I was that fired up. But then we go see Shefty, who's with this older gentleman. And we saw Schefter, as we're literally pulling, he's like the first individual we saw. And he's with a group of people. And he's like, this guy. I'm like, hey, what's your handicap? Because I know it's what people say in golf. So I'm just trying to call back lingo that I've heard in the past. And he's like, oh, this guy's below par. And I know I par 0 and you want to do below, which is minus. And so I put those pieces together. They're in the middle of the fairway, which was Buddy's shot. It's on a par 5. And this dude, they all shoot a lot of dog shit shots out there. I'm kind of bragging or saying whatever. I'm really just saying shit to say shit because we're just there. And I'm like, man, I would hit that on the green. I would do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And Buddy shot a shot that it was actually on the green. It was actually 10 feet away from the hole.
Yeah, it was
probably 20.
Eagling it.
Yeah, ends up eagling it. But then I don't know who said it between the three of you. Be like, hey, Taylor, take a shot. And at that point, I was back in the nervous stage of like, fuck, this dude just shot an elite shot. I saw these other guys shoot the ball. It wasn't very good. I think I could at least do what they just did. Now they put a club in my hand. It looked like a driver. Like, what was it? It was a fairway wood, whatever that means. And I'm trying to be, I pick it up like a baseball bat. I'm thinking I'm funny in my head. And I swing that ball. I hit it pretty good. I hit the ball pretty good, dude. It overshot the green by 20 yards. But that's just, I'm using the weapon that was given to me in this type of situation. That ball, if the right club was in my hand and I shot that same shot, we're talking on the green or on the green that's a little bit higher grass, are we not? Are we not, boys?
Maybe hole.
Maybe hole. It's called the fringe. We would be on the fringe. We would be on the fringe. So I'm just saying, the exhilarating feeling I got when the ball left my club and I, with zero coaching, was able to do that. One, makes me feel like a lot of you who complain about being bad at golf, maybe you're just bad. Because I did that. And it's on film. And I wish we got a video of where the ball landed, but it wasn't in the woods like a lot of you guys out there. So I would now like to revisit one of Jack's podcasts he was on, talking about who the most athletic.
Oh, my.
And when he said I would be out, basically putting me in 5th place, correct?
You just weren't top 3.
Would you like to change your answer at all?
When we go out and play a full 18, that is when I will decide.
We gotta start with 9.
Yeah, 9.
Shots on the ADHD right there. I'm a victim. Okay.
Okay.
But I am willing, not only am I no longer wildly against golf, I am willing to actually pick up some clubs and go play. I don't want to get my own clubs. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's way too much of an investment for no reason. Because although people want to talk about my income in the back of the bus, I don't like to spend it like that. So
we should get a Troubadour. Yeah, I'm sure you got a couple.
Get us in?
Can you get us in is the real question.
I'll call some people.
That'd be
one of the competitors in Beer Olympics lives in Troubadour. So maybe we can call him, play around a golf with him. But yeah, dude, I was wildly
You would like Troubadour because you can wear exactly what you're wearing right now, and it will be the nicest course you've ever played.
Nicer than the one in Michigan, because G was saying that's the nicest club he's ever played at.
I haven't been there. I haven't been to Troubadour, but that course was
nuts,
pretty insane.
Yeah, I wish I could understand the beauty I was looking at. It looked like grass to me.
Yeah,
but well mowed grass.
Absolutely,
I will say that.
Yeah, a lot of textures.
We got to talk about you.
Me.
We went to Trevor Keegan and Zach Zinter's hole, and they were teeing off, so we were there right from the beginning. And be honest, thank God those boys are good at football because they're dog shit at golf. Their whole crew was. They're the crew they were with, a bunch of CPAs wearing Italian horn tattoos around their calves. We talked to them a little bit that later. That's not a part of the story, but everyone shoots and then G shoots. G hit that thing a goddamn mile on the fairway. And then you're not even a part of their scramble. They all go and find their balls, which are on different fairways, different areas in the woods behind trees. They cruise over and find your ball, jokingly say, haha, that's mine, and proceed to use your ball. What happens next? I don't know if you want to interject at any point. They all shoot again. They're all dog shit shots. And what do you do, G?
Stroke a 7-iron.
On the fringe.
On the fringe, yeah. Definitely should have kept the club I had, but it was a good shot.
Yeah. You did get a little cocky with the club choice. I did see you had the 6 in your hand,
Yeah.
and then there you're like, I'm going to take the 7.
Well,
You were scoffing behind me, I
homie
thought.
launched that one over the green, and I was like, all right.
Yeah.
He didn't feel the wind behind us.
Yeah. You got to be able to, you got to be a
Exactly.
weatherman
Yeah.
when you're in there.
Yep.
So that happens, puts that bitch on the fringe. And then did you putt it or chip it?
I had a horrible bump and run. But then the second one I hit, and it hit the flag stick, and that's the one that you've.
That's right. And that's what they ended up using anyway. So you
Yeah.
played the whole hole for them.
Mhm.
Help them because they would have been in hell.
Yeah. Trevor can hit it far, it just doesn't go straight.
What matters, dude?
You're right.
You know, who gives a shit about going far? You want that thing to go straight. If I'm not mistaken, not a golfer, but I feel like I'd much rather hit it straight than far.
That's fair.
Get a combination of the both. Now you're talking about PGA Tour.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I need to hear. But yeah, we've definitely decided as a group on Bussin' with the Boys that we are the most athletic all around podcast. I don't know about Steven. I'm not sure. He played lacrosse.
He said he's a runner.
Said he's a runner. What that counts for in athletic ability? We'll see. But a couple of pro athletes, 3 Pro Bowls between the two. And then talking about rec sport Hall of Famers in the back here. Which Jack took offense to that when I said the other day when you actually beat me in something. But that was meant as a compliment. With that said, after this ad, we're going to get to this Nate Bargatze podcast, dude. This is called the Blue Nile. Is there anything you can't buy online? Athleticism. I was reading the red mark after. Like, what do they want me to say? Can't buy athleticism online, dude. You can't do it. You can find just about anything online and buy it more easily and conveniently than ever. You might think that it's not the case when it comes to something as personal as getting your engagement ring, but Blue Nile's build your own ring option and overnight shipping options will have you wondering why you ever thought that. BlueNile.com is the original online jeweler since 1999. They've helped millions of couples create their perfect engagement ring. With Blue Nile, you can create bigger, more brilliant pieces than you can imagine at a price point you won't find at a traditional jeweler. Blue Nile also offers a diamond price guarantee, which means that in most cases, they can meet or beat a competitor's price on a comparable diamond. And if your purchase isn't perfect, there's no problem. Blue Nile offers 100% satisfaction guarantee with guaranteed free shipping and returns. Right now, you can get $50 off your purchase and $500 or more with code Bussin at nileblue.com. That's $50 off with code Bussin at nileblue. Oh, that's $50 off with code Bussin at bluenile.com. bluenile.com. With that said, boys and girls, please enjoy this episode. Please subscribe, rate 5 stars. We haven't talked about it in a while, dude, but the merch is hitting. It's hitting good. So go ahead and get over to the store, grab yourself a couple things, tweet at the boys, tweet at the Bussin account, tweet at the boys in the bag, tweet at myself, tweet at Will Compton. We love to see it. We love seeing the support. Nate Bargatze, let's get right to it. What a time that was, 2021 on the bus in the church. What do you think of this compared to the church?
I like this. You know, I used to work this area. I was a delivery guy.
Mm.
And we used to deliver appliances and stuff like that. And I would do it over here. And I mowed and I worked for a guy to cut grass once, and his thing was right back over here too. So I used to be over here a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got mowing job? You had mowing jobs?
I had one. It's mowing's the worst, dude. It's you know, like I would cut grass going up like your neighbor's yard, or I had this old lady, I got $5 to cut her grass.
That's brutal.
And then this was 1953. You guys,
Yeah.
it was,
That's a whole month's salary right there. That's
Yeah, I
solid.
mean, it
You were
was
killing
like-
it back then.
I remember I could go. There was a candy store. I'm 44. It's not like I'm 100, but there was a candy store in Old Hickory, and you could go. $5 was a lot. $5 was like the 20, I think now. Like if you give a kid 5 now, I feel like they don't even respect it. But a 20 is, you know, it's like 5. You're like, ooh. So I mowed grass for a little bit, but I mean, just doing businesses, and it's just, man, people that mow like landscape and all that, that is brutal work. It's so hot and you're just out in it all day.
I quit after one day of landscaping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was like a hot 98 degrees. Like my mom wanted me to go do this. I was a lifeguard the summer before.
Mm-hmm.
The next summer, I got thrusted into a landscaping job and I quit immediately.
The first day?
Yeah. We went and got lunch and got sandwiches or whatever.
Mhm.
I texted my mom. I said, you got to get me out of here.
Dude, I've never mowed a lawn in my entire life.
Oh,
Really?
Not one. I grew up in Arizona.
Yeah.
Only rich people had
Yeah.
grass. And so,
You guys do got the turf. and
yeah,
stuff.
people got turf or people got rocks. Like that's
Oh,
really what
that's
you get to
true.
deal with out there. So
Yeah.
coming out here or even being up in Michigan, the maintenance is nuts.
Yeah.
And I feel like a landscaping deal isn't as bad because they have like the cool mowers that they can kind of move around. You're sitting the whole time.
Yeah.
They got the whole garment and everything
I
on.
had
I'm
to,
sure as
like-
a boy you were just short
You're
sleeve
just out
t-shirt and some
there.
shorts.
I wasn't that high up. So you're weed eating, which is, just no fun. Or you're doing all the weird kind of like where you got to be like, you got to push it because they can't get a thing on it. Landscaping though if you have no college, if you have no chances of going to college, always starting a landscaping company was talked about pretty heavily.
Dude, I have like 4 friends that
Yeah.
have a landscaping company
You just
in
go
the same town.
Yeah, when you're like, I'm not smart enough to go I can't get in college or any of this stuff. And you just have a group of people that'd be like, let's start a landscaping company,
Yeah.
dude.
But if somebody does it in high school, they're the man for a minute because they can afford all the when they go.
Oh, yeah,
to the
they're
mall or whatever.
billionaires,
Yeah, because
essentially.
you're collecting a lot of money being
Yeah.
mowing lawns, but then they're doing it still because they're didn't go to college.
Yeah,
or
I
whatever.
have a buddy of mine, his brother. He actually owns a landscaping company now. He was a kid that just started cutting yards, was like smart enough to realize like, oh, let me start building this up into a thing. And it is. They got money. Like they save money and like you're like, someone's got like $3,000 and you're like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
You're like,
that
I
is
have,
unheard of.
yeah, unheard of. As someone's 16
yeah, bro.
sitting on $3,000.
And then they pull like a business gig or a corporate gig, and they're mowing those yards. Like
You're richer
living
than
the
my
dream.
parents.
Yeah,
You go,
for
where'd
real.
you get that money?
$3,000. Imagine seeing $3,000 in high school.
It would have been unimaginable.
No, that'd be way too much. Is that the worst job you've ever had, being a landscaper?
So the guy I used to deliver with over here, we did another job where we recycled tires, and that job was on dirty jobs. And it's
How do you recycle a tire?
so you would go and pick up. You remember? I don't know if you remember, but there's a big Ford. They where they did a callback or recall on all the tires for Ford one.
Chevy would never.
And then there's and so we had to go get all the tires. So you go get all the tires and then you pick them up and you take them to Australia. I'm in Australia. I'm going to Australia this week. It's on my. You take them to Atlanta and then they have a thing and then they cut them up and whatever they do recycle.
Yeah.
Whatever recycling is.
I'm pretty sure turf fields have like tire pellets in them.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's where they don't know what to do with it. So they're just like put it in the field. They have so
That
much
was your
of
worst
it.
job.
Yeah. So why was it so hard? So you have to go pick up all these tires. Water sits in the bottom of a tire, and that's where mosquitoes lay eggs, and that's where it are. So the whole time you're just getting lit up by mosquitoes. That's just your day. I was doing this job when 9/11 happened. That just like it
Oh,
was.
shit.
It was.
Remember when?
I remember
You do.
when. I remember it very well.
Yeah, and you heard that Alan Jackson song. You're like, I will forever know where I
forever
was.
know it.
Yeah.
And so the mosquitoes are there, and then we had one time we had to go pick up tires out of a cave. So if someone would pay you to come get the tires, and then you would go recycle them, and then hopefully make some profit. But one guy would just get the tires and then just go dump them in a cave, and he wasn't getting them recycled. So he's just making straight profit from taking tires. Well, they found out that guy ended up going to jail, but then we had to go get those tires, and they were all in a cave. So we had to back up trucks just in this cave, and you gotta like run them up your chest and like bump them, and then stack them up into the back of a box
Is
truck.
it too where you got to pick up fucking? You see a big you're like, oh, let's go do this job and get a couple tires, and then they're massive tractor tires.
I don't remember that. I don't necessarily remember. Ours were all car tires because this was again the recall. So it was like everybody around here had so many tires because all these tires got recalled. So everybody was like, it was a big kind of booming business at that moment. And this one guy just figured like I'll just dump him in a cave.
Jesus.
And there were so many tires in this cave, dude. We just drove backed up in there, and just there's the most tires, and you're like, all right, and you just
Like, all right.
guys would be good at it. They would you would run it up your body and then bounce the tire off your chest.
How would it start at the toes? Like you get the toes, give 'em a little flick.
You just kind of run it up, and it's all in one motion, and then it's probably a workout. Now you probably pay to get a trainer to make you do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just do it and you roll it back, and then you got to stack the tires like kind of crisscross.
How where you found that physique of yours, dude? That muscle memory.
You have, I probably was pretty strong. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're strong. Like you're like, blue collar strong, where you're
Country
got
boy
just
strong.
weird strength.
Yeah, the
Meat
boys
of your
are
hands.
throwing the hay bales out
Yeah.
there. They just got a grip like a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's a tough job. Another job that'd be tough is like, have you ever heard of like College Hunks and Junks? That company?
No, is it like two man or
Two guys in a truck? Yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that, but like their whole promo of the whole thing is essentially hot college guys come and
Yeah.
pick up your trash.
Yeah.
And we use them. And they come in and they're like, they're not hot. Like they're
Oh.
like 35, 40 years old, like
Yeah.
bad tans.
You hired them?
Oh yeah. I call them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I want to see what this is all about. If this
let's
is
see
your
what these
branding,
boys are working
they,
with.
they were not the guys on the flyer when I called
That's
them
what you
up.
tell them when they get you go, y'all are not hot.
Yeah, what's the deal with
Like I
that?
was promised.
I
And
want-
they
I
kinda-
want
and the
these
funny
guys.
thing is, they'll just look at all the trash you have and they'll go, 300? You're like, all right. And they just take it and they leave. And that's their job. That's a wild job to have.
Yeah. No, it is.
Living-
Yeah.
For your tire one, what'd you get paid?
I don't even know if I remember. I mean, nothing. Like, or what? Enough. I was 20, so it's like enough to get by, like whatever it
Yeah.
was. You're living. I might have still lived at home, or you're at an apartment.
Mhm.
I mean, back then it was just everything was so. It was your rent was probably $400 a month or something, $500 a month. Like if you had an apartment, I don't remember it being that crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that when you were 20 years old, you were still here. I know you guys talked about it in the last podcast, but when did you make the trip to New York? When did you decide that's where I'm going for comedy?
I moved to Chicago first, and then because I had a buddy, we were reading water meters in Mount Juliet, and so he wanted to go to Second City in Chicago. It's where a lot of the SNL people come out
Where
of.
Farley came out of.
Yeah, and so we went to. So I was like, oh, I think I want to start comedy, and so we went to Chicago and moved up there, and I did that very briefly. Then I kind of started doing stand up, and then there's a great documentary with Seinfeld called Comedian. It's on Netflix. It's when he's starting a new hour, and so he's writing it, and it shows all this New York. He's going to all these New York clubs and doing this stuff, and so then I saw that, and when I saw that, it was like I got to go to New York, and then I just went. So I moved to New York in 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just had Stefano on the podcast, and he was talking about how like New York is the spot. There's no other place like that. You have to like literally run through like 5,000 dudes to even make
Yeah.
it out of there.
Because he was saying he would never move away from New York because it's all.
Yeah.
You can make it out of New York. You can.
He is New York.
Yeah.
He's New York.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
grew
that's
up
why-
there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a Tennessee boy and then going up to New York.
It was a lot. Like Christy's like a lot younger than me, but I remember when he came, a great dude, and then when he came on the scene, you have to go. It's the best. The big saying was like go to New York to get good and LA to get famous.
Mhm.
Some that saying I heard once, and that, but it always made a ton of sense to me. But New York is like it is where you go and you're just grinding it out in these comedy clubs and just. We're all doing spots. You're all doing shows for 5 people. I mean, it's a lot. Like the beginning is most of your career is in front of 5, 6 people. You'd be happy. if it
Yeah,
was-
because you talked about how you'd stand outside and hand out flyers just to get a few
Yeah.
people in.
Yeah,
One of your boys is performing. You're like, hey, come check it out.
yeah. That's and you'd get paid in stage time. So you would just do that, and then at the end of the night, you get to go on stage like midnight and do 5 minutes, and then you go do it, and then the next day. But it's a world. I mean, you fall in love with it because you're seeing, like back when I did it, was like you're seeing Bill Burr. Bill Burr's probably doing comedy 10 years when I was in New York at the beginning, and so like, but no one knows who he is, and Patrice O'Neal and all this. So you're like kind of like, I can't believe these dudes exist. I'd imagine in your world, like it's like you think like, you know, if you're in high school and you're the top football player in your house, and then you go, oh, there's other people that are so good.
Yeah.
And then you like, and it makes you love it because you go, oh, it's a whole nother level. Like it's.
Let me see if I can make it here.
Yeah, let me see if I can make it. Yeah, because you can be whatever in your own little small thing, but you gotta always change it up so then you can be like, let me see if I can run with these guys.
I'm with you. Growing up in Bonne Terre when I went to college, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Black guys play football.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me see if I start.
Yeah. Let me see if I can run with these guys.
Yeah.
How did it work out for you at first?
In college?
Yeah.
You know, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
You know how it is, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Like it's intimidating, but it's like once you get that first compliment, dude, hey, this white boy can play.
That's all
You're
it
just
takes.
like,
That's
you
all.
know,
If you hear, hey, you're pretty this for a white guy. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, we're
bro.
making it out here. That's what you're
Like,
getting.
I might be one of the best athletes of all time. Then.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You really think you're him at that point.
Yeah.
When you're in New York and you're sifting through this, you're seeing guys like Bill Burr, who wasn't Bill Burr at the time. How do you, when you're trying to find your own voice, not steal from these other guys or not get influenced too much by being around all these other people all the time? Because I'm sure you watch a set and you're like, damn, that is funny. And it's kind of up your alley of humor because it's such a subjective like career. Like some guys you just don't think are funny. Some guys you do. I like when you see a dude and they do a bit, you're like, man, how do you not steal it?
Well, stealing a bit you wouldn't do because it's their cadence is a big thing.
Yeah.
So you can sound like them. So the way someone tells a joke and makes it funny is there's something that's something that can get taken. That I would always talk with my buddy Giannis about it. Or Giannis would always bring up like that's worse than stealing a joke because it's like you're stealing the way to tell the joke. So it's like the other stuff doesn't really matter. It's like Brian Regan has a distinct like thing when you know when to laugh, you know when to do it. David Tell does too.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to catch yourself sounding like them. David Tell is a big one that when I was a lot of people sounded like David Tell. I could catch myself in a little rhythm of David Tell. My accent would hide it, so I don't think anybody realized it, but I could feel it. Like I was like, oh, I'm like watching him too much. And so you gotta, and you don't want to start writing jokes like that because then that's when you can see a comic. If they get too far, you're like, oh, you sound like this guy.
Right.
Like even though you're doing jokes that are different, but you sound like him. And that's the part that you want to, if you want to be your own voice, you got to be super aware of that.
If you're sifting through the comment section on one of your posts on Instagram, is that one of the more insulting things to see? Is, oh, you sound like so-and-so?
If they do. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can distinctly remember. I would have some like, people tell you they've heard this joke before. The joke stealing thing that got all started, it's not as, I think, as crazy as people think it is. Like it wasn't, it's just not, they made it into this big thing. A lot of times when jokes are stolen, you can really look at the joke and be like, it's not a super original idea. And you're like, I don't know, dude. I mean, like I could see two people coming up with this thing and you really look at it like that. I mean, there's comics. There's only so much. We're all doing the exact same thing. There's only so much anybody's doing. If you're in a world that like you're single and you're going out and you're drinking, well, that's 50 comics that are single going out and drinking. So what are they going to talk about? You're going to all talk about the same kind of things.
Right.
So that stuff gets thrown in a lot that it's, you're like, I don't know. I think it happens in movies though. Something like that. That's stuff where
like Star Wars and Harry Potter.
Like like writers in a movie. Like I would say write a TV show, writer, like there's stuff like that I mean, I don't know if you could ever, I don't know if there's an example to say it, but like that stuff you get nervous about. Cause I mean, someone writing a movie, like they could just grab a joke from some comic and just be like,
I got you.
You're the joke in the
You're talking like if I happen to be some writer and I'm liking your stand-up, a story you tell, it's like, oh, I'm going to put this in my movie.
Yeah. Or it could be influenced by it. It could be, there's a lot of things. And I mean, that's masked so much that, I mean, you can't even, how you going to, be like, that's my joke. And you're like, well, they say it like,
I want to say that's been talked about.
Might be with,
I heard that recently.
Really?
Might be that Wahlberg's, the Boston bombing, the movie with Wahlberg about the Boston bombers.
Yeah.
I think there's a joke about an iron or something at the beginning of it. And I want to say that joke might be something that's like from a comic.
And now that I'm thinking about it, I want to say it was like Theo talking about
Oh yeah, it was Theo.
The show Dave, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but
He was
yeah.
digesting it. I mean, you could tell he was alluding to it. He wasn't, I don't think he was being like, oh, this is fact, because ultimately, I guess you
Yeah,
don't
but he
know.
said it in his own
knows?
Theo way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that's a good point. You hear something.
Yeah, he says it of
and you're like,
I mean, they're gonna. You gotta, and I'm not saying all these writers writers are not doing. The majority of them are not doing it, but it's like I bet it's like you're gonna be influenced by people. You're gonna hear things.
Mm-hmm.
You hear there's so much content now, so you're hearing stuff all the time. You might not realize like where you would have possibly heard that.
Yeah. But the stealing the joke thing seems like talking to other comments.
Feeling it like
I mean, there was one reference, like I was a big Dane Cook guy growing up. That was like right around my middle school time. And Dane Cook,
we all loved him.
We all loved him.
Yeah,
and there was a big time where people were like, Dane Cook stole a joke. The same joke as Louis C.K. told. It's about having a kid. He doesn't have a kid right now, but when he has a kid, he's going to name something ridiculous. Like just one letter, 5 of them. And then he like, allegedly, I haven't really looked too much into it, so I'm kind of just speaking out of pocket here, but Dane just changed the letter essentially and did his cadence and all that because they're totally different comments.
Yeah, I think there's another like his itchy butthole or something was another joke like that. That was I mean I remember all that stuff going on. Amy Schumer, I was around Amy a lot and people would blame, but it's like it's some of it I mean the Dane and the Louis thing, I don't know. I mean maybe they did. It's and they maybe subconsciously did it. I don't know if I just find it hard to believe people are like on purpose doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Not saying that's right to subconsciously do it. Like you should somewhat try to check, but it's overall you're like, I don't know, dude. Like comics are not just taking each other's stuff. Where are you gonna go do this?
Yeah.
Where you're gonna get caught. You're gonna get,
especially now with.
And then the thing that was frustrating is it makes it. Then everybody like, so if you have a joke similar to someone else, someone's like, did you steal that joke from that person? You're like, no, dude, we're all talking about the same thing. Like no one's stealing a joke. They're just, people are talking about stuff. It usually goes to, you got to look at what the joke is to be like, is it that original of an idea? And a lot of times it's not. And then it's like something that's kind of like, I mean, there's jokes out there where you're like, I think I've heard my uncle say that joke, that person's not stealing that joke. It's like just telling kind of a hacky joke.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you a sponsor, Sport Clips. Your hair may grow fast, but after going to Sport Clips haircuts, you'll wish it grew even faster. That's because Sport Clips has the best seats in hair, and that may or may not be because they happen to be right in front of TVs playing sports all day, every day. We know that watching sports while getting a haircut sure beats watching a reflection get a haircut. Oh, it beats your reflection getting a haircut. Got it. Which is why at Sport Clips every day is clippers and curveballs, high tops and Hail Marys, and even waves and wickets. At Sport Clips, you can check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with pure uninterrupted relaxation. So yeah, come watch an endless stream of sports on TV while getting your awesome haircut. Sport Clips. It's a game changer. With that said, back to this episode.
JP, are you catching all that rain in the headphones?
I keep seeing Garrett look back and forth and stuff like that.
Then you hear the rain get even harder and you're just like, fuck the 1 hour we're getting Nate on.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to start hailing soon.
Perfect.
Just, as he's telling a story, you just hear it get louder and louder.
Yeah. When
Just make sure the tornado doesn't.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
We definitely do not need that in our lives. You catch that?
Yeah.
It's absolutely going off. There's like flood warnings
As a
and stuff.
comedian, do you ever get just tired of being funny? Like when you're doing it, you're like, you kind of fall in love with it in New York and you're grinding through it. And even now it's just like, you've blown up. Like as a comedian, I don't know why I never ask him, but I'm just thinking, do you guys just ever get tired of just being like, every room I step into, I'm expected to be funny.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be on. That's the part that's hard. But I think y'all would experience that. You know, how many times you got to feel like you're on? So when you go out to a public event, when you go to something or like that kind of thing, or you meet people and like it's the being on is the thing that gets exhausting. But that's for anybody. I mean, people could feel that if they go to work and they feel like they have to kind of be like, all right, I got to turn it on a little bit. I got to be better,
I'm laughing.
Are we going to die?
Yeah.
I'm laughing about this fucking
It's
thunder.
funny that like out of this stuff, we're in like a garage. All stuff that I don't think you're supposed to be in inside of a storm is we're in a garage, and you're like, all right, well you shouldn't be in there, but at least you're not in a bus inside of it. You're like, oh, we're in a bus. One of the old buses that look like it's driving around trying to be struck by lightning.
Yeah, we're in danger right now. We are in danger.
Yeah.
The being on thing's true, because anytime you come across like fans and everything else, you want them to be like, you know, you don't want to like let people down, or all of a sudden you're like an ass on that. You're like, yo, you're fucking not even.
Yeah, because it only takes one bad impression for them to be off you forever.
Yeah.
You know, you go meet somebody and
it's you. It's either you or not you. So like usually when you meet, if someone meets someone famous and they're kind of standoffish, whatever, you're like, yeah, man, that person's probably like that in real life.
yeah.
And otherwise, it's like the crowd and the audience should not feel my tiredness or my whatever. Like that's not on them to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's like little moments like that. But I mean, I don't ever think I ever feel with an audience. You feel it with like, you know, the business side of sometimes, just because you're like the audience you're like grateful for, because that's the reason you're here. But then sometimes you got to go do the business side of things, and then you're like.
Yeah, but business side, you can like kind of turn it on and off. I feel like the being on thing is like when you're just walking somewhere and someone's like, hey, I like you for this. And then you feel like, okay, I have to make sure this person has a good experience.
Yeah.
That way it's like Move It Forward, or what's that movie?
Pay it forward.
Pay It Forward. And then just like one person tells two people, it's like, we got to make sure this person's happy with their experience. And move on. If that happens too many times, that's when it kind of gets a little draining.
Just be nice, and that's the easiest part about it. It's really a lot easier just to be nice and move on. And it's like it is funny if someone that doesn't want to be like that, you're like, well, you make it much harder by being kind of mean.
Yeah,
you could just be nice, and it would move very quickly.
No doubt.
Has there ever been a person that you've like kind of looked up to, and then you meet him and you're like, fuck, don't meet your heroes type thing? You brought up one person that universally seems like people are not a huge fan of, and that's Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. I've only been I've talked to him once. I'm a giant Seinfeld fan. So I still want to go there. So there was a lot of people that have said that he can be kind of standoffish, or he can be, and they would be that with comics and stuff like that. I mean, I don't look at that too much. Somebody goes, he's 60 something years old, like doing comedy for 40 years or more. So some of that I look at like, does he want to talk to like, I mean, I'm an open micer to him. Like, you know, he's done comedy so much longer than me. Like, not that I'm an open mic, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you were talking to some 7th grader about being a lineman or something, like playing football, you'd be like, what are we going to talk about, dude? Like, I can't, you're too new. So sometimes like, I think of it like that. Like people are like, he wasn't like comics specifically could think like, I didn't like the way he left. And you're like, what do you want him to do? Like, just, I don't know. Like that. So I've had Louis C.K. I had a little bit with when I first started. Now it's not. I mean, obviously he's come back down to reality a little bit. That
happens a little bit.
Yeah, that happens a little bit.
Have you heard Pete Davidson's bit about that? He talks about, I guess Louis C.K. was hosting SNL, and then Pete Davidson got high, and he was walking through to go to the elevators, and like Louis C.K. caught up with him, and he was like, hey, stop getting high. You're ruining your fucking life, blah, 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 blah. Like kind of dug into him.
Yeah.
And Pete's so high, he's like, that didn't happen. There's no way that actually just happened.
Yeah.
And the next day, who's the guy? Is it Lauren?
Lauren Michaels?
Yeah. He calls Pete into the office.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially he's like, people have done coke here before. Like, just, I guess, don't let Louis C.K. smoke. And then his whole bit is going into, so you'd be so happy when I found out on one great day that he was jerking off in front of ladies and stuff like that. And it's a pretty funny deal.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah, it's like Louis has been, I have like now it's not been, but I remember I opened for him once a long time ago, and he was just kind of like, I don't know. He was just, I mean, like at one point Louis was on top of the world. Like, so we're in New York. Like, I mean, he is the biggest comic on the planet. And it would come off, sometimes you could meet him and he'd be kind of like jerky or like, just not nice, not being nice. And you're like, and you're a young comic and you're just thinking like, I'm nobody, dude. Like, I'm not trying to ask, you're trying to get out of his way. You're trying to do all these things. And he would just, I remember he would just say like I brought him up on stage and you'd be like, All right, everybody, y'all excited to see your headliner tonight? Please welcome Louis C.K. And then I brought him on stage, and he's like, "Don't introduce me like that." And look, in a weird way, there's a valid point, and to be like, they are there to see him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need to say anything, but please welcome Louis C.K. But the other side of it, I've been doing comedy 6 years at this point. I don't know what to do. I'm nervous. Like there's part of you like, why don't you think about the situation that we have?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm getting to go up in front of you. It's a sold out room. I've never been in front of a sold out room. There's a lot of things playing into it. So you're like, there was like that kind of stuff with Louis, where he would just like say to you, like, "Wait, what do you want me to do, dude?"
Mm-hmm.
How'd you introduce him?
You just where you're like, "All right, y'all excited? You know I'm from." You're like giving his credits and all this stuff, and it's just like, you don't have to say all my credits. You don't. They know who they're here to see, which is true, and that makes you don't need to say it. Like,
Yeah.
But it would just be like he'd come tell you that, but in like kind of an aggressive way, and you're like, "Louis, I don't know what to do, dude. I'm so nervous about this whole experience. I just don't want you to be mad."
Yeah.
Like and you're mad clearly, and then now, or I don't, not that he's that mad, but it's just being like, just be regular, man. Just be normal. I don't even go to the green room.
Down to me, like I'm trying my best.
I'm
man.
trying to I'm just doing whatever I can do.
Yeah.
Like I did a joke, and then he went up and made fun of my joke, and that made me so mad. I was so mad about this. I was so mad about this for a long time, because it was just like, dude, we're nobodies, man. I got paid $75 that night, like I think for hosting, so probably $75. That's it. I'm fine, and I would do that gig for free. But you're like, what do you? I'm not. I'm just.
So when you got off the stage, he came up and made fun of your joke.
Made fun of the yeah. I was pretty upset about that.
Do you remember the joke?
Yeah, it was the joke I had about if I don't have a gun in my house, I have like a knife or something in my next to my bed. So I have my wife sleep next to the door. So if someone broke in, I can shove her at it. And then it was something like that joke. I'm not great at memory. And then other ones like, would I take a bullet for my wife? That was it. And I was like, and I said yes, because how could I ever take a bullet? That's pretty fast, for a gun to be. You can't like hear a gun go off and jump in front of it. It would hit her so quick. So you're like, I just would say, yeah, I will take a bullet. I'll take a bullet for anybody, because I'm never going to be able to get in front of that bullet.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of the joke. And then he was like, well, you stand in front of her. When the person holds a gun, you then get in front of her. He he described it the way like my wife would describe it, make it like not fun. Like the way you have like your parent would just be like, well, I don't know if it's going to work like that. You're like, yeah, it's a joke. We're just trying to have fun.
He just knows the whole crowd's going to laugh because it's Louis
they
CK.
laugh at like them making fun of me. And then you're like, and then you're just like sitting there like, I'm 27 years old. Like, why would you, what do I have to do with anything?
Right. Like, please leave me out of this.
Yeah. I'm just doing a spot, dude. I'm hosting. Hannibal was supposed to be on that show too, Burris. And he didn't even show up to the first show. And he was hosting. And then like, I was mad at that. I'll tell you, I was mad at the whole, because then.
Tough night.
You start boiling, then it just snowballs.
To me, I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hannibal didn't show up. I did like a little more time.
Yeah.
Because Hannibal didn't show up, and you're still making fun of me. This was Hannibal's like starting to, because I started with Hannibal, and Hannibal was like, he started writing for SNL at this point. He was on 30 Rock, I think, or writing for 30 Rock.
Man.
Hannibal's great. And so he was like starting to like really kind of blow up, and I was just, still at the bottom. So I didn't care for the whole thing, but now it's been fine. I've never told Louis that, but why would I? What would
Hopefully
I
he watches the show. And he'll have to.
I got him.
Hannibal doesn't show up. You're like texting Hannibal. Did you know this was going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys fucking had it out for me, huh?
Dude, yeah. Hannibal was late because of 30 Rock. But I just remember thinking, why, like, I'm the one here.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting trashed.
He didn't say nothing to Hannibal?
If I wasn't here, there'd be no one else but you on the show. Yeah. No, he didn't say anything to Hannibal. He was excited Hannibal was on the show. Because Hannibal was like, again, starting to kind of rise up and do good. So it was like, it was cool to have Hannibal.
Were you thinking in your head at that time, I'm never doing this again?
No, I mean, you would use that. I mean, honestly, I would use it for like, I hate this dude, and like, I will make sure he knows me.
Right.
Like, you honestly, not to act like a brag or anything, but in your head at the moment, I would always just flip it to like, all right, I will be positive that you no, and Louis would never remember any of this, as he probably shouldn't. He shouldn't remember it. There's no reason he would know me at the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect, but these are moments that I would use. I was so mad about the situation. And then you're like, all right. Well, then this is where I'm at in comedy. So I need to get to a level that like, I'm not going to get treated like this. And so you just use that drive to like
the chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. Telling yourself whatever you can.
Whatever. Yeah.
Make sure that, hey, people will know someday. Let them laugh now.
Yeah. Some other person could probably look at that situation and be like, dude, he like said he liked you and he was making a funny joke at the beginning about you. It was all very sweet. In my head, it's like, I mean, it's Armageddon. I'm like,
right.
But someone else could be like, no, well, he was being nice. What are you talking about? Like, I could have read the whole situation wrong.
Yeah.
But I did. And I read it the way I read it. And then you just like kind of go, all right, I'm gonna grind it, you know.
Man, I wonder what you were feeling during his like whole, what if he did an hour or whatever? Just kind of sitting there and slowly like that seed of anger started.
Oh,
but by the end of that hour, it had to be a full plant. Like you had to be fucking ready.
Oh, I was like, yeah, I mean, I think I did one more show. We were doing a show for his school, for his daughter's school, like a fundraiser. Cause we were at Caroline's and he wouldn't be, he's at this point, he's doing Madison Square Garden. So he's just doing this for a fundraiser. And, so yeah, I mean, it all built in. I mean, I sit there and watched him though too. Like, I mean, obviously he's unreal. Like, so it was like, you know, you're sitting there watching him, and that's part of you that would hurt. It's like, because it's like the dude that you're like sitting there going like, that's the main guy. Like Burr, Burr was very nice to me and would say things and like be very. So you just would have like little parts of, you know, who you got treated by this person.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to reflect on what they are now or anything, but it was like these were little things that you'd be like, they really stick with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this podcast to bring you another ad read, and that is 2RK Games. An ultimate pro football GM. Prove your skills in managing a pro football team. The game has a realistic feel, draft, trade, and manage every strategic decision. The game is fun, addicting, and easy to learn. It's a mobile game that is completely free, no ads, and it's playable offline. To download the game, go to bussingm.com. That's bussingm.com, or look up Ultimate Pro Football GM on the App Store. Dude, just imagine you're a GM for a pro football team. What would be your first move? And at the Ultimate Pro Football GM, you can actually do that. Use code Bussin, that's all caps, BUSSIN, in the game store for 100% free boost to your franchise. With that said, back to this episode.
Yeah, who's somebody now might be Bill Burr, but who is a comic or a couple comics that have been like the most encouraging that you actually think about back then when you're younger and building these chips on your shoulders and people have kind of pulled you aside or given you any kind of advice or something where it's like, man, this really stuck with me. This comic might have no idea Bill Burr. This stuck with me throughout my entire career.
Yeah, Burr was a big one because I remember Burr, he told me, again, it was at Caroline's, and because we'd go watch Burr like before he blew up, and it'd be like you could go sit in the back of the room and watch because it wasn't sold out. And then I remember the next year, it was like they wouldn't even let us come in the room because it was too sold out. And like so, but Burr, like when he knew your name, when he knew you, and it was a really big deal. And then I remember him saying like, look, it takes the route that guys like us go. It takes us a long time, but you gain fans, and you gain fans for life. And I remember, and I always thought about that throughout my whole career, like how, like, you know, like this build up. I've been doing comedy 20 years, and it's all just like a slow, like kind of just always going up. Not a bad thing, but it can be frustrating. It doesn't happen as fast as another one. Someone said was like it's not as fast as you want, but quicker than you think. Like, and so you have these moments that just like, it kind of takes a slow kind of thing and you got to just kind of grind it out. And so, yeah, Burr was a big part of that. I had Marin was very nice to me, and Fallon obviously did a lot of stuff for me. And so there's just a world of people that end up, you know, doing things that they're just nice to you, or they see it and they go like, no, this dude's like the real deal. And you just need that little confidence that,
right. That, just that like a little bit of
that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want the validation from your peers. I mean, that's all that really matters is what other comics.
Yeah, man.
That's at the beginning that you feel like, what do they think of us? You know,
Right.
Is that process different though when you've been doing it for 20 years? You see a guy that's been doing it for maybe 5 or 6 years, and they're trying to accelerate their career. Do you ever sit with those guys and be like, "Hey, just take your time"? Like some dudes are, trying to do too much too early.
I think sometimes people can do. They can do too much stuff that's like, they're like, I'm gonna do sketches, I'm gonna do a podcast, I'm gonna do stand up, I'm gonna do improv, and it's like, well, go be great at one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be great at one thing, you can do all the other things. But you can't just be kind of fine at a bunch of things. You need to really learn how to be great at one thing, and then you know how to be great at other things because you know what it takes to become great or really good at one thing.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes like younger comics can spread themselves out and there's too much stuff that they're trying to do. So you can see that. I'm a big younger comics. I'm a big act person. Like there's a lot of crowd work stuff. I know people can do crowd work. It's easiest to post content on social media as a crowd work and stuff like that. But I'm creating an act is if you can create an act, it's the best thing you can do, and it's the most reliable, and it's when people come see you and do a live show, they want to see an act, they want to see a whole kind of thing, and stand up is in such a great spot right now where we're doing arenas, and there's a lot of comics doing arenas and doing these big kind of venues, and stand up's in a pretty wonderful spot, and guys are selling out and doing big things, and so. You want them to be like the exhausting part. You got to create an act. You got to constantly do stuff. Coming up with stuff on the fly. Like you look at Shane. Like I know y'all are, with Shane Gillis. Like Shane Gillis is I haven't seen someone like Shane in a long time. And he's unbelievable as a comedian. And seeing him, I know what his next special is going to be. And it's it's going to be great. And
You've seen it?
I've seen the hour he's run. I didn't see the taping.
Yeah, we saw him in Vegas, and it was, dude. Yeah, I think he's one of the best.
Really, you can feel the smiles creeping up on our faces the minute you said Shane.
Yeah,
that's how good.
Shane's so Shane is Shane's. I wasn't really there when Shane was there. I think I was gone. I've been doing comedy forever.
Mm-hmm.
Shane's also a reminder how old I am. When you realize he's been in comedy for a little bit now, and he was I remember hearing about him when he first came out. He would go out with Dan Soder a lot, another comic that's a good, unbelievable comedian. That's Soder's really hitting the road now. Soder's a great comedian that if you go watch, me and Soder are very close friends, and he's friends with Mike McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
Soder is, and but Soder's was doing the Bonfire with Big J, and then now he's doing comedy. He's really going to go hit the road really hard. So Soder, that's what you got to do. You got to go on the road, and you got to just stay in these and build this stuff up. And if you build, these are guys that if you build these acts, and they will, because their acts are going to be, you start producing hours. If you look at Louis or Carlin or Chris Rock or all this kind of stuff, you're building these hours that you can go specials. Gaffigan's just putting out a new special. I think it's coming out this week, maybe. It's his 10th hour. You know how hard it is to write 10 hours of material? It's basically impossible. There's no one that's really that can do it. The limited amount that can do it it's a very small group, and so it's go try to be in that group. That's what I look at. Try to be in that group to go produce stuff. That's why I think some people get it's hard to do, it's tiring. And so then you can slide into this other stuff where it's whether it be if your whole act becomes, I'm not trying to some people are so great at crowd work, but if your whole act becomes that, then it's you're not really creating, it's you're just, I think you get stuck.
Right.
Versus if you build an act, I think an act can go, because people want to go watch a show. You can't go really watch in an arena and just be sitting in the top watching a guy get made fun of, in the front row. That's not going to come across as fun for that person up at the top. So there's always as big as it can get, I think. And so the ones that are creating the acts,
because you're never actually working on something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you're going to your next show thinking
super witty.
you're not like I don't know. I'm assuming like you're just not writing things down or trying to work on bits and be like, I'm gonna go take it here. You're just leaning on the fact that you can do crowd work.
Yeah,
really
you can
well.
go sit and like, yeah, and I mean that stuff's super fun. I mean, it's like and guys are really, really great at it. Big J Okerson's Big J's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life, and he's the best. And he does he does it and not but Big J can tell stories, and he's so great at stories and all this stuff. So it's I always sometimes people think I trash crowd work more than most people, but I just see with younger, I just hope that some still like, that's why I was so great seeing Shane. And like when I saw Shane for the first time, he came to Zany's, and I went down and watched him before I really knew him. But I've heard about him. We've kind of like said what's up, and I watched him, and I was like, oh man, this is crazy, dude. This is like, and I got very excited because it was like, yeah, dude. Like this dude's gonna be, obviously he's super funny in this situation, all that, but he has an act, and he goes up with an act and goes out and destroys. I mean, we saw him in Charleston, and it was like, dude, I mean, they stand up and you could just get a standing ovation immediately. Like, you can tell people are so excited to see him, and he's so fun and funny, and it just feels different, and it's like, it doesn't feel serious. And I think comedy's going back that way, which is a good thing, where it's comedy that's like being like, yeah, dude, no one's trying to tell you what to do, or, Shane's not telling you how to vote. He's not telling you how to do any of this stuff. It's like just being funny, and like anybody can watch it. Anybody can like just, it's like, I'm just having fun, man.
Not everybody. Not everybody. I had a
That's
close
the boy, dude.
Yeah, he's the boy. But we saw his stand up in Austin shortly after he came on the bus for the first time. And we really didn't know about Shane. Like, we knew he got fired from SNL. We knew he was a comedian on the up, and we're like, hey, we're excited to have him. He crushed it on the podcast. He was so funny. So then we took the time to like go watch his YouTube special in Austin, and I'm by myself laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
And so I go to Arizona and see this family that I lived with.
Yeah.
And the dad is,
Fox News dad.
He's a Fox News dad.
Yeah.
And his bit about Fox News dads, I was like, hey, you've got to watch this stand up. And I put it on. And in the first 5 minutes is him essentially making fun of Fox News dads and like the wall and all that. Yeah. And I'm laughing still. It's like the fourth or fifth time I've watched it. And he doesn't laugh, doesn't make a noise. And he just grabs the controller and goes, let's watch something else. And literally turns it off without taking a vote from anybody else. I thought, man, you got to open up. You got to open it up a little bit,
bro.
I told him that a dozen times, like, you've got to rewatch it. But then I'll rewatch it, and then I'll hear the Trump stuff, and I'm like, hey, maybe he shouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe he shouldn't dive into that.
You're gay. When he does that.
Sit down, you're gay.
Bro, the military bit that he does with the Taliban, when people get to see that.
You were with him at Zany's a couple weeks ago, right?
Yo, I bet the people at Zany's were so fired up because he had hit us up. It was after Beer Olympics.
Yeah.
He's like,
The
hey.
day after.
Yeah, the day after. We're recovering. And he's like, hey, Nate and I we're gonna go on at Zany's at like 9:30 or 10:30 or something like that. I was like, oh man,
y'all had a pretty big day.
Yeah, like I'm fucking,
I know.
I'm hurt, bro. He was bruised up, probably prime telling you about.
He kept showing us. He kept showing us his body.
That's more on him, though.
Well, I know, but I saw him because you tackled him or something in the pool.
Choking photo.
Yeah, and like it's like y'all just don't like realize, like, because Shane's big too, but he's not like strong like y'all, and so I feel like he gets beat up. It's like a big dog. Like, it's a dog that you're like, that tries to play with it, and then you're like, well, I don't know if I'd play with. He goes, don't go full on. You're like,
heavy set Labrador Retriever.
He had this slideshow on Instagram of him just being on top of Shane and fucking.
Because it started off of him, like, he gets there. He seems very unenthusiastic to be there. He's like, we're going to get buried, whatever. It is what it is. He does one chug. Like, the first event was a chug.
Yeah.
And then after that, anytime he lost an event, he'd be behind me and Will just talking shit. Like, you guys are bad hosts. You guys are nasty. Quit being nasty.
Well, they're all laughing at you. I'm going to remind you, they're all laughing at you when you chug your beer.
So I go in one of the rooms, and he's there talking shit, sitting on a chair, and he's like, dude, you're a pussy, dude. I'll beat your ass right now. So I start wrestling him, and the whole rest of the day, like, turned into that. And then he's talking about all the bruises. It's like, buddy, you got to get out in the sun if you don't want to bruise like that. Like, he literally has Michelin Man type of skin.
Is that what you have to do?
I mean, I feel like you got to weather it up a little bit, right?
Is that what you have to
make
do?
that up?
I think.
felt it.
Well, you say older dudes. You see older dudes. You're like, what does their skin look like? Leather.
Yeah.
Leather's tough. It's
Okay.
durable. It's reliable. It's like the Chevy Silverado. If you don't ever go out in the sun,
Yeah.
like one little, hey, how you doing? Little slap on the leg. There's going to be a welt there.
Yeah.
Luckily, Will got some nice thighs,
Nice.
and he's got a little suntan on there.
Yeah.
Shane just welted up
I just
easy.
like that you told him that. Like that. I've never heard anything like that. It's just, and it's funny. Like, well, you don't want bruised. Just get out in the sun right there. He goes, like,
just jump in the sun a little bit.
Just burnt and then also bruised.
He goes, "That's all you gotta do." Did you just make that up? It's like, oh,
I think
you
I
know,
did. I
like
did
an
essentially
old
make
man
that up,
leather.
but
Yeah, you gotta
it
be
makes
outside.
sense when you really think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
Makes
man. I guess
sense.
it does.
It does make
I guess it
And then he got
does.
Chandler on me, dude. And Michael Chandler. I mean, he could stand up on this bus, no problem, and have plenty of room. Littler guy. But he wrestled me in the pool and I almost drowned about 6 times. And then the rest of the day,
So
it was like
strong.
he was being,
Yeah, he's a
being
little pit bull,
protected.
man. He's a bit.
it was his
he's a
right
pit
hand man.
bull,
It was his
yeah.
guard.
Yeah.
But
He's
people,
so strong.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
Chandler is just and the best dude.
The nicest guy. The nicest guy.
you're way too nice to be in the octagon like that.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's
It is
got
a wild thought.
Flips. Yeah.
But he like enjoys it. We were at his house for Labor Day weekend last year. And his pool is like 4 feet deep.
Yeah.
And it's the late night. Everyone's been drinking a little bit. And I see something dive into the pool, but their feet don't go in the water. So he essentially dove in the pool and hits his face and comes up. And I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody. And I look back. I'm like, hey, Mike, did you just hit your face on the floor of the pool? And he's like, no. He's like laughing, just having a good time. And then all of a sudden, his face just starts bleeding everywhere.
Oh.
And I'm like, you got to go wipe your face. He's like, don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife. And I was like, she's gonna fight. Look at you.
Yeah.
She's gonna fight. You look like you just got done with a fight.
Dude had a scab from forehead to
Yeah.
chin.
Just a
the
like
rest of the
he
week.
just road rash. And he's like, help me out of the pool. So I literally grab him by his hips, like right like here. And I just remember thinking, he's just a fucking dense ball of muscle. That's all this fucking dude is.
Yeah.
He's just so goddamn strong.
Yeah.
He's
It's
so
it's like
strong.
a bear.
Yeah. And then he takes my big ass and throws me around the pool like a child. I was humbled.
Yeah.
It was a humbling experience for me.
That
Yeah,
was a
because
good
that would
time,
be that would be the people always wondered like if a fight would be like you and him. Would
Body
your
bagged.
size even anything out? But
If I had any training, I'm sure there'd be a more of an even
well, if there's
fight.
training, yeah, but
Yeah,
no
but-
training right now.
Just me?
Yeah,
No, I'm
You're
getting
just
banked.
very-
yeah.
yeah.
He's gonna absolutely take me. I've wrestled him,
That
and
spinning-
we'll.
that spinning back fist you got
saw
there.
that.
I did see
Yeah,
that.
we were
Let's
in the
not-
octagon one time. I did sneak him with a spinning back fist. Luckily for him, I stopped
yeah.
because I had the
Yeah.
awareness, but that would have probably taken him
That
out.
would take him out.
But he takes me at the ground. It's over,
Yeah.
and he's gonna get to these legs. Like, it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be not an issue at all.
He's excited about it.
No, yeah, he sees these little sticks, and he's like, "I'm
Yeah.
gonna take advantage of those
Yeah.
for sure."
Yo, but
Yeah.
the whole whoever was at Zany's, I mean, that was a surprise, right?
Yeah, so we did. We were hanging out because I knew he came down. Because I talked to Shane quite a bit. Like Shane's going. Not that I just like talking to him because he's. I mean, I think he's very funny, and then like he's just where he's at in his career, and it's starting to like really. I think after this next special, I mean, Shane's going to really be one of the top touring act. I mean, he already is a very top touring act. He's going to be one of the top, and so he's a good dude, and just. So we were just in town, so we were hanging out just that day. And then I was like, I've been kind of wanting to go up. And then I was like, do you want to go up? And then he's like, yeah. So we were like, let's just see. And then so we, it was one that people I don't think expected me and Shane to do something. And then so we just called Zany's and they were like, yeah. And they put it on sale and it sold out immediately, which you never get used to that. You're both like in your head, like, is this going to sell? Like, you think like,
There's
dude,
no way you thought
I
that.
swear you have a moment, dude. You know when you put yourself out there a little bit and you're like, what if it doesn't?
Yeah.
Like
Imposter
you think-
syndrome.
Yeah, and you think like you're like, all right, me and Shane are gonna do a show, and then everybody's like, we're good. I mean, because it was in.
You're like, let me
we
make a
announced it
call.
at like 4:30, and the show's at 9
Mhm.
or 9:30.
How quickly did it sell out?
I think in like 10 minutes or so. It was like oh
Dog, if you're going
What a
ahead,
feeling.
yeah.
yeah.
What a
You're in
feeling.
Nashville, you got to catch that. You're fired the fuck up getting to
that
watch
was-
Shane and
It
you.
was. I want to do it again because it's like the people that we went in there. Actually, we did some work. I needed to like kind of run my hour and like pull some. I needed to figure out some time stuff with my hour, and then Shane just went up there. But we went up there together at the end, and that's what I think people like the most is just me and him on stage hanging out and talking. And so, I mean, yeah, I hope we talked about we want to do it again. Like it was because we both really enjoyed it, and I really like him, and he's a great. I mean, he's a truly great comic.
possibility you guys touring together?
No, I mean, the only thing, I'm clean. So it's like, I couldn't, the audience that comes to see me, even though a lot of people that would see me love Shane, but I wouldn't, I mean, my kids can come to my show. Like, it's all ages. So I wouldn't want to put that much, like someone, if that's the hard part of being clean. You're kind of on your own in the fact that like, there's only so many, I mean, the comics I bring out with me, not that they're not all clean outside of me, but they have to be clean when they come do my shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, outside of that, it's like kind of hard to be like, because it's like my crowds are, I just really can't do it. But so it's like, that's why a situation like that, where we just like kind of pop on last minute, is because then, I think it's people that are comedy fans and
right.
They
completely understand that this is like an anomaly of Nate and Shane
it's like,
coming out there.
It's not like there's versus like, I might have my real show, like, there's gonna be an entire family come that's bring their grandparents, the grandchildren, and I'm gonna be like, they're ready for Shane, and I think they think we'll find Shane very funny, but they also might be like, we didn't expect to hear all those words,
Dude, we had that situation this past weekend. The last ad read of the day, and that is Duke Cannon. We'd like to talk to you about your shower game for a minute. Here's the fact. The body wash you're using right now is weak, watered down, and probably smells like a JV locker room. Simply put, it's just not getting the fucking job done. The boys need a shower with substance after a hard day's work, and that's why we use thick, high viscosity body wash from Duke Cannon. Thicker is better. Don't let them lie to you. Thicker is better. Duke Cannon's thick body wash is built to work hard, not spew down the shower drain. All the scents are amazing, but my personal favorite is Midnight Swim. It smells like a cannonball dipped into a moonlit lake, not a dip into the hot tub at a starlit motel. As always, I do like the dry ice. That's good. It's just, especially in these hot summer days, man, it really keeps you cool in the right times. Also, they have a little rub-on cologne. They just dab on the neck right there, put that on your wrist. You're going to smell great all day. It lasts way longer than the actual spritzes and sprays. You have to try Duke Cannon. So for a limited time, we're hooking the boys up with 20% off your first order at DukeCannon.com with code THEBOYS20. That's 20% off when you use code THEBOYS20 at DukeCannon.com. Duke Cannon, work harder, smell better. And now, with that said, back to this episode.
With what?
At Kittlefest in Laser.
Yeah.
You know who Uncle Laser is?
I think I've heard his name.
He's a comedian out of Austin, Texas. He's hilarious. And I went and saw him at Zany's a few weeks ago, and it's all, pussy eating ass. It's as dirty as it gets.
Single mom jokes, young gun, like
yeah, exactly. So Kittle meets Laser at Beer Olympics and reaches out to Laser. Is like, hey, I have Kittlefest coming up. Would you like to come to it and do some stand up, like 10 minutes? And Laser's like, absolutely, I'll go. And so once I caught wind of this, I caught wind of it at the party, and I have seen his stand up, and it's, me and Will are there. A bunch of our friends are there, but there's also his aunts, his uncles, his grandparents. Like there's an older crowd as well, buttoned up, wearing their Sunday best type of stuff at a frat party, essentially. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, brother, have you heard Laser stand up? He's like, no. I go, all right. Okay. And he's the first person to go up. And dude, it was probably the most mixed review thing I've ever watched in my life. Cause there's like me and Will are
I'm literally like probably standing there like smiling, doing this.
So
it's
funny. It's
for a crowd that's, rips Marlboros and wears NASCAR. You know what I mean? Like
they're not scared of hearing the language, but then some people can be surprised at how dirty something can actually get.
Yeah. He brings out his harmonica, talks about one's the pussy and one's the ass, and that's how he learned to eat out chicks. And I'm just looking at the grandma, and she's like, she's looking like, leans over her husband like,
He's got the harmonica playing that gets him out of, that can just get you out of shit. You just hit the harmonica, all right.
Dog, it was so funny because he didn't hold back. He didn't look at the crowd and go, I should probably tighten a couple things up. He went full bore right into it.
There's no doubt that I fully believe his eyes glazed over and he knew the situation he was in. He's like, I just got to fucking get through this.
Just got to own it.
Yeah.
Just got to run it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you're like, it is what you do. So it's like, just go do what you do. And then, they either they laugh or they won't.
What was the choice for you to go clean?
I just started that way. Like, it was just how, grows up in the South, Southern Christian, like, I wasn't allowed to watch anything, stuff like that. And so my,
13th.
Friday 13th.
Yeah, we saw that. We were watching some of your bits before. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to watch. And there's so many movies I've missed because I just was never allowed to watch them. I never watched South Park.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I still have, I know. I never watched it when we weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons. That was a big deal when I was young. Simpsons came out, it was like because Bart was like against authority, like so it's like a lot of parents didn't like that. It was like this kid.
That's nuts.
Did your dad watch The Simpsons?
No one
This
did.
would be like Sunday Night Football's over, Simpsons come on.
Yeah. No, it was it was just very. I mean, I just when I grew up, it was just a lot. It was just different. It was the South was pretty strict and like what you could do. I mean, you couldn't dance. I went to Donaldson Christian Academy, but we didn't have a prom. We had like a banquet, and then you couldn't dance because it was like dancing was not. And it wasn't like the parents don't believe dancing is bad. They believe dancing is bad, but it's like you just would have, back then. I mean, an 80-year-old in 1997 that she thinks dancing's bad, so you're kind of like not doing it to be like kind of.
You can get a little space, leave some room for the Lord.
Yeah, you just go. Well, you could go. The parents would then rent. They would rent out a room, and then everybody could have like a more of a prom dance kind of after. You would do a banquet, like that's kind of a proper thing for like those older people to be like, we're not, and then you go do the dance thing after.
Yeah,
it was So it's like you just grew up in none of those like standards. So it's like I just started clean, and then I was always clean, and then once you start. It's like kind of just the only way I go now.
Dude, you've had a glow up about you. I remember seeing you in NASCAR, and you had that. Your haircut's not that way, but you were laced up with a skin fade.
Yeah.
Compared to years past, I mean, your stand up a couple years ago, the way you were a couple years ago, you've aged very well. Your skin, I've noticed the entire time, is phenomenal. But you were like one of the dads where you show up at the barbecue and you're like, oh, hey, Nate's here. This will be a fun time. Now it's like you show up at the barbecue, you're like, hey, Nate's here. He's pretty fucking big time.
I'm going no bread.
Yeah, what's the glow up been like for you?
I'm not fun. I brought my own food. Don't worry.
Nate, you don't talk to him anymore.
It's been. I mean, the whole. My whole run. I'm 44, so I quit drinking in 2019. And a big part of that was like I was just I knew I was like starting to go to the theaters and all this stuff. I knew if I wanted to get where I wanted to go, I couldn't drink. Like I wasn't able to. When I drank, it's not like I just drank at home or did all these things. Some people can drink and you might think you don't have a problem because you're not like you go a week without drinking. But it's like when I started, I didn't know how to stop and like all that stuff. And so I knew when I'd go on the road, it's like I'd start Thursday night would be a fun night out at a club. But then you drink that night, and then you're just hungover the rest of the weekend. So then you're just trying to get through the shows because you don't feel great. And so I was like, if I want to produce the material that I want to produce and tour and all that, I needed to stop that. So that was when the first one happened because I just stopped drinking. And so I mean, just literally drinking will just help a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't eat great. And I'm trying now. That's the second one I'm trying to overcome because it's like being on the road again. It's like hard on your body. You kind of gotta treat it like not a full athlete, but as both y'all but it's like half of it. You have to somewhat be so mentally you can handle all the things that you have to go do, and so you can be in good moods and be fun and not be like just on edge all the time and all this. So I'm trying to work on that as well, but. Yeah, I mean, we had a good time. I mean, the whole beginning of it, there was a lot of drinking. I mean, me and Hannibal said because I don't think he drinks anymore. I don't know if he does now or not, but he didn't a few years ago. And we were talking about it. Hannibal said something that always stuck with me. He was like, he goes, I look at it, he's like, we put up some good numbers because we did good. Because a lot of times when you quit drinking, everybody thinks like, wow, you're not being fun. You're like, no, I did what you're doing right now. I already did all this. Mm-hmm. You were not old enough to be there, but you're like, I already went and did all this and it was a fun time. And I had a great
bet. And
then then you just hit a point where you get older and you're like, about 40, you start going like, all right. You're like, I mean, just stuff starts hurting. Like you're like, I can't wake up and feel like this every day. Like this is brutal.
Yeah. It's a brutal feeling. That fog is terrible.
But it's the most fun.
During it for sure.
During it is the most fun. I mean, seeing y'all's beer Olympics like that looked like it's a wonderful, wonderful time.
Dude, it was awesome.
It was so much
awesome.
fun, man. It really.
You ever want to come out of retirement for a day?
Yeah, I know.
You're more than welcome next year.
Yeah, there's always moments where you're like, I hung out this weekend that I feel like could get you but it's football because I did the American Century Championship. John Elway. Meeting John Elway.
Who's back?
John Elway is a good time.
Oh yeah.
And I was telling Dan Soder's a giant John Elway fan. He's from Denver, and I was like telling Dan, I was like, John Elway could make you quit drinking, come out of retirement drinking. 'Cause Dan doesn't drink either, and because he's like just like a good, like you're like this dude's the most fun, and you don't think. Have you met him?
No,
I've never met John, but I hear a bunch of stories.
You don't
I've heard
think, you think
stories.
he's
I've
gonna be,
only
like,
seen him in front of a
stoic, or, like,
camera.
you think he's going to be? His son is awesome too. His son's a big Shane Gillis fan. His son's great, big comedy fan. Big fan of you guys. Like,
Shane would be. Does Shane know that his son's a big Shane Gillis fan?
I think so. I don't know.
You know
I
Shane
don't know.
knows.
Yeah,
I think
Shane nuts over
Yeah.
football players.
Yeah,
and
And
legends
so,
like John.
But he was like someone that you're like, yo, this dude's the best. I mean, you just think he's gonna be stoic like this. I don't know. It's John Elway, so you just think he's gonna be like, you gonna meet him. It's like, how you doing?
Businessman.
And you're like, this guy is a good time, man.
Just like what? A lot of charisma.
A lot of charisma. Like laughs a lot. You say anything, he's laughing at it. Fun. Like you just feel like you're gonna just be with him, and he'd be like, you're like, yeah. He's like, they take the boat out, and you're. I didn't go on the boat, but he's like, he's talking about it like, oh,
He showed you the boat though.
He showed me the boat. He mentioned a boat. I think I could have gone out on this boat. But it was just like a very surprising meeting someone that you're like, oh, dude, you're not what I thought. Like you realize Peyton Manning going to Denver, you're like, yeah, dude. Like, yeah. Put anybody in a room with John Denver, John Elway, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'll go, dude. You're the best.
Yeah, that's fucking cool, man. Who else? Like, who else have you met that's been like, oh, dude, you are fucking.
Because that is the best feeling. Like we talked about the people you meet and you're like, man, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
But the people you meet and they're either exactly like you thought they would be or even better like you're saying.
Yeah.
That's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, a lot of like Cable Guy is like that. Larry Cable Guy.
Dude, Larry's awesome,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
You
I
missed
know.
out on that
I'd have loved to join you in that enthusiasm.
He's obviously a massive Nebraska fan.
Yeah.
So when we had our one of our tailgates last year at Nebraska, he came on we had the podcast out there at Nebraska, and he's just the nicest fucking dude, man. He's just so funny, just salt of the earth.
Yeah.
Exactly like what you kind of see on camera, and even better, just like you're hanging out with him.
Yeah, that's the part that you want is like when you meet someone and they're like super nice and they're just, it seems like they're like, I met Devontae Adams this week and he was awesome. He was like kind of a funny dude, like, and just like kind of quiet but just my experience with him was very nice to talk to. And like, it was just super fun. Vrabel was there. I met Vrabel's a good time.
Yeah.
You see why
Vrabel's
you
a
want
good
to
time,
like, yeah, you can see why you'd want to play for, like, you get it. Like, that's what's interesting is like when you go, oh, this is why people like you and want to play. Like, cause you're like, he just feels like he'd be you. Like he'd be like, if you played for him, you'd be like, he's just you.
There's a totally different dynamic though when you're his player.
Okay.
Like him now
Yeah.
with us is great. Like we had him on the podcast very recently.
He came on yesterday.
I know, but I'm trying to play because this comes out August 14th
you're right.
or whatever.
Yeah, he
But
came on
he
a
was
long
literally
time
on
ago.
yesterday.
Yeah.
And the three of us have a group chat, me, Will, and Braves. And our podcast was every bit of that group chat. Like it can be awkward at times. It's funny at times. He gets serious. Like you just don't, Vrabel's a guy that dictates how the conversation is going to go, especially when you're the player.
Yeah.
In the first year, we said 2018.
He's got that alpha energy, and you could just tell like the dynamic. Even on him on yesterday, you just, there's still those nerves of like, is he?
Yeah, we're grown men.
Laugh at this, yeah.
Will's turning 33 this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turning 33. I literally turned 32 in less than a week,
Yeah.
and there's literally nerves around being around another man. Like, hey,
Yeah.
but he can't hurt us anymore. We
Yeah.
can't. There's nothing he can
Yeah.
do.
We started joking about fighting, and then I really thought,
He's trying to
gonna
legit
swing
fight
on me
you
right
for a
now?
second.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but he is like a good time. Vrabel has got to be the best time.
Yeah.
He's a
I
guy's guy.
understand that dynamic. But I've always liked New York comedy had a dynamic like that. Like you always like the people that started, but that were the bigger comics above you, and not even necessarily like fame wise, but just there's guys that started before you. There's always like a respect that you're like, like you just the older guys. I remember Bobby Kelly, who does his podcast, who does the Bonfire now with Big J. Bobby's like so funny. And but Bobby's like a guy that like I feel like Bobby told me to go do something, I would just have to go do it because he's you just looked up to him so much when you started out, opened for him a lot and did this stuff. So like I've always liked that, like kind of like in stuff. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, they're like a natural or just subtle power dynamic that happens that you just never really get.
Yeah, Kevin
beyond.
Hart talks about Keith Robinson. Like Keith Robinson is a New York comic that was like with Jay, Big J, and Kevin, and he helped them a lot. And Kevin Hart's obviously the most famous person on the planet, and Keith is, most people would not know who Keith is. But I think Kevin's got to feel like a little, it's like there's a little like Keith can say whatever he wants to Kevin. Like the situation of Vrabel could sit down and say whatever he wants to you, whatever. Like you're still going to feel like you got to just take it.
Yeah.
And like,
no question.
Yeah.
And that hurts. Like it hurts to agree with that, but it's totally true.
I got them pizza feet, and I'm just like,
yeah, he did say that to you.
Yeah,
that was tough.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Who's somebody that you've met that you've been absolutely fired up to fucking meet?
I met Tiger.
Tiger Woods?
Yeah.
That's a solid one.
And that was
before or after?
After, again, very humble, very cool. I tell you what, people just need a little.
People need a little.
I can tell you, if you think someone's like getting a little too high on the horse, there could be. You got the pill to make that all better. But he was awesome. I mean, it just felt like I did a corporate gig for the PGA or something. It was him and Rory were there. I didn't get to meet Rory. I would have liked to meet Rory, and I just didn't get to meet him. But Rory seemed very nice. But Tiger was there, and I was like, kind of like, it'd be really cool to meet him. And the lady was like, yeah, we're having, and he kind of came up, and I just got to briefly talk to him, and then we just talked about it. He went on the Tonight Show and talked about Fallon, and it's kind of quick. I got a picture like that's not just me and him. It was just taking a picture of kind of the moment, and
nice. The best kinds, candid.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, where you like just take a bunch of pictures. Like I don't want to ask.
He's coming. Make sure you have your camera out.
Yeah. And so that was like one that I was like, Jordan would be another one, but Tiger is probably the biggest for me because Tiger, I watched his whole thing, like when he turned pro. I mean, he's 48 or 9 or something like that, and I was just the age of like watching that guy's whole existence. So yeah, Tiger was one that where you're like, this is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I'd imagine meeting like Tom Cruise would be like that. There's like big ones.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks. He's very nice.
Yeah.
He's as nice. He's someone that you should meet.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Wow,
he's like one though that you're like, if you saw him out and someone's like, don't meet your hero, like you can go meet Tom Hanks. That dude's a good dude.
Yeah.
He was very, very nice. Very nice.
I wonder what Tom Cruise is about. I wonder what his deal.
I think I've heard
Scientology, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's like
I
he
think
does
you would
good
get
movies
into
and
it.
then Scientologist.
That's the thing. I'd be scared to meet him because I would probably become a Scientologist.
Have you seen the Scientology building on 8th Avenue?
No, I haven't.
There's one right on 8th. You go down, and every once in a while there'll be a little thing out there that says free personality test. And I've been tempted to just pull over.
Yeah, there's
check it out.
I get nervous sometimes. Like they're good, dude. And I think you could go in there and you're like, all right.
Makes some
they
sense.
they go. If you just have any, which I think is how you should live, with any question of anything, just question everything a little bit. And then you go into Scientology, and then Tom Cruise was in there. You're like, that dude's the most charming person. The people that have met him, I knew a guy that worked as a director and a writer, and they had him writing on one of the Mission Impossibles a while ago. And they said that they told him when they met him, they go, look, when you meet Tom, they go, just so you know, you're going to think y'all are going to be best friends. Like that's how charming he is he takes over and you're just like, this dude's the best.
I love the way you're sitting.
And
I know.
yeah, and you're like, we might be hanging out every day of our life. And that's just what it's going to feel like, because that's what he is. It takes that kind of charm to be that. And then he went up to a hotel room in the top floor. They rented the whole floor out. I mean, you can't, that guy like is a walking Walmart. Like he's $1 billion. Like he's just like, you have to be like, and I think he tries to like get on a motorcycle alone and just drive off. And you're like, hey, you're like the most important person alive, dude. Like you're all these movies, all this stuff. Like you can't just run away from us like that.
Yeah.
But
like when he gets on a motorcycle, like just all of a sudden music starts playing too, like as he drives off.
Right.
So my buddy said he was sitting in the hotel. So they tell him that. So Tom Cruise is here and he's facing the window and they're sitting on the couch looking at Tom. And they're talking about like, all right, we'll go do this for Mission Impossible. Then we're going to, and Tom's kind of going through the whole thing. And then they see Tom start to squint because the sun was setting. So the sun's coming in the window and it's starting to squint. So then he says, Tom just pushes a button on, I don't even know. It might've been like an iPad or it might've been something. Pushes a button. 2 people come in with sunglasses. He's got an option. So they both have a pair. And he just looks and then grabs this pair and puts it on, but just keeps talking the whole time. And then never says, yeah, those are my sunglasses people, or whatever you should say to go like, hey, what was that, dude? Like that.
My light diversion people.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, you're like, are they just back there? Does that button just for sunglasses?
Right.
Like, you have people just for sunglasses? Or like, how would they know? They came out of a room, offered 2 pairs of sunglasses. He's still talking. And just goes and puts it on, they leave, and then he still just keeps going.
You know, like if you're in there and you just kind of like look around, nobody says nothing.
You gotta ask. I would feel like, hey, who were they?
It's probably one of those moments where you look around, you see everybody still dialed in, you're kind of just too scared to say anything.
You're too scared, dude.
Yeah.
I think he's taken over the situation. He's talking so much, and he's into it, like, because he's like doing these stunts.
Yeah.
He does all that stuff himself. So he's like, and you're just kind of like caught up in it, and you might almost expect it. To be honest, you might sit there and go, yeah, that's what they should have brought him sunglasses. And that's insane that y'all made him push the button. You should have just felt it.
Somebody just got fired.
Someone should have said, you know what? It's 5 o'clock. The sun's starting to set. Let's go be around Tom with sunglasses. And then you just get on that side. I remember one time talking to a super rich dude that said like, he was trying to buy a house. And he said, because the master bedroom only had 1 bathroom. And he said it like that. And I was like, what? Like master bedrooms only, like they have 2 full bathrooms? But in the moment when they say it, you're like, yeah, dude, screw that house. Yeah. Are you out of your mind? Why were you how embarrassing is that they built a house with just 1 bathroom?
Yeah.
In the master bedroom. Yeah. It's a 30,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
And he's like, they didn't have 2 bathrooms in the master bedroom. And you're like, well, I'm glad you didn't buy it.
Yeah.
You know what? They deserve it.
Yeah.
They
you literally
deserve it.
That house will never sell.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a good point.
That house, yeah. You start realizing like my stupid house, I got 1 bathroom in the master bedroom and I look like an idiot.
I hope God he never comes over.
I hope, yeah. You can't invite him.
He's like, yeah, man, that's crazy. And you look out the window.
Yeah.
I gotta change my bathroom.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a possibility to want 2 bathrooms in a bathroom. Like that's a dream that you're like, I didn't know I could even have that dream. But now, all I think about every day when I go,
like 2 full bathrooms.
When I look at my
2 bathtubs, 2 showers
in the master bedroom.
That doesn't make any sense. That's
should.
unpractical.
And next time you look at your dumb wife brushing her teeth next to you, you're like, you should be in your own bathroom. And you're just furious. Like you go, what are we doing? All crammed in here.
Yeah.
Pissed off, dude.
Yeah.
You got to share a sink.
Angry.
Ma'am, we got a.
I know. I feel like we're I know we have a hard
Do you want to hit the first one?
Yeah.
Boys, how we doing? I'm interrupting this episode all the way from Canada to present our Dude Wipe Shittiest Moment segment. This moment right here, look back here. Golden hour, filming a segment. How incredible is that? Are you still using toilet paper? Because if you are, you're in the Stone Ages, dude. Drop the TP and pick up Dude Wipes, the wet, extra large, flushable wipe that clears instead of smears. Wiping wet just cleans better than wiping dry. Get confidently clean with Dude Wipes, dude. You can pick up these Dude Wipes on Amazon or Walmart and Target nationwide. Now let's get back to this episode. You guys have a day, because look at this. We're having a hell of a day over here.
For our Dude Wipes question, partnered with Dude Wipes, what is the shittiest moment of your career?
There's been a bunch. Trying to think. I bombed on a cruise once. And so you're on the boat with these people. And
Can't get off.
I remember like I had to do 3 shows. And so I do the first 2 shows. One show goes, the point when you would do them, you'd have to do 3 shows of half an hour. So you'd have to do a half hour clean, half hour dirty, and then you'd have another show that's like a half hour. And so this is a show actually that a lot of crowd work, comics that can do crowd work are very good at, because it's like, that's kind of the best thing, because you can just go talk to the crowd. Every crowd's different. Every show is different because you're talking to the crowd. But for me, I didn't have like enough. I'm not a crowd work person. I didn't know how to do it. And then I'm not great at it. And then I only had material. So I go do it, and like, I just bomb, like, because they've all heard the jokes, because I've only had like basically an hour. So I split them up into the 2 of those 30-minute shows. And then in the 3rd show, I was like, well, maybe those people won't come back. Well, they come back. And they just, and I remember after the show, I rode an elevator with guys, and they were saying, they were like, yeah, there's two comics. And they go, this one comic was great. The other guy, they loved him. And on me, they go, that other guy is like not good. And I mean, my shoulder is touching that man who's saying that. But I have like my hat on, and not that he would know me. So that was a pretty tough, like I was in an elevator in the ocean. I think it's a moment that you would think you'd be happy. And instead, you just, I mean, and I just got off whatever floor was the next floor. I just walked off.
God, that would be brutal. He's talking about being on a cruise ship. He did some shows, and he bombed. And he's on the elevator, and the gentleman next to him, there's a crowd on the elevator. He's wearing a hat, so they don't recognize who he is. And they're talking about how this one comic, they loved him, and they're like, but that last one, like, he just wasn't very good. And he said he's just standing there.
That's got to be tough.
That's tough.
Do you ever get over that?
Yeah, you remember, I mean, it's always funny afterwards because you're glad it happens. Like, you're glad in the sense that it's a funny story to tell. Like, but yeah, it's pretty tough. I'll tell you, one of the ones that hurt me the most was I auditioned for Last Comic Standing when Geraldo hosted, and Craig Robinson was on it because Craig Robinson had a movie, very funny joke that Geraldo said. Craig Robinson had the movie A Hot Tub Time Machine, and so right when he said, he goes, I got a new movie, Hot Tub Time Machine, and Geraldo goes, oh, what's it about? This is very funny because obviously it's about a hot tub time machine. There's no way to describe it, but hot tub time machine. So when I auditioned for that, I did not get it. And I always thought like being clean, I was like, oh, I'm going to get like all the, I'm the only one clean.
Yeah.
So like I can do this stuff, and I didn't get it. And I never got close with Last Comic Standing. And that was a one that was like a one that was like, it hit me in my, like, it hurt. It really hurt. Because you just think like, all right, I'm going to go on this show. I'm going to do this. You kind of get your career kind of mapped out a little bit. You think all this stuff's going to happen, and then it just doesn't happen.
Another chip for the shoulder.
Down.
Yeah, it's just another. But when you're in it, you're like, what am I doing, dude? Like, it's so frustrating, But,
yeah. Then our last one, sponsored by Twisted Tea.
All right.
The best.
It's unfortunate you don't drink anymore because those things right there.
Yeah. I missed
They're a good time.
The whole that kind of thing, the seltzer kind of thing. IPAs being introduced IPAs were my final. That was when it was like,
it's like the final adult stage is IPAs.
Yeah. That's when I was like, I gotta
start talking about hops and how things taste.
Yeah.
It's
so
tough.
I don't even know how it's all made, but IPAs have so much alcohol, and then so if you drank them like Bud Lights, it's like I got caught up in that where you're like you're just getting smashed and like
blacked out.
When IPAs started becoming around, that was the end. That's when I was like, all right.
That's going to fit perfect into this question, dude. Boys, what's happening? It's me interrupting the episode again from Canada, but this time is to introduce our Twisted Tea question brought to you by Twisted Tea, the smoothest hard iced tea out there. You see this lake behind me? You think I'm going to walk around this lake not strapped to the goddamn gills without some tweez on me? Everywhere I walk here in K-Town, people are like, hey, yo, Lewan, let me get some tweez. I'm just slinging them out there, dude. I'm just ripping those things out there like a gun, brother. Bullets, but they're tweez instead. Have a day, dude. Grab a refreshing Twisted Tea, and let's get back to this episode. Have a day, boys. Our question for you. Drunkest you've ever been?
Where the scaries just eat you up and you're like, man, I got to fucking correct.
You wake up the next day, you have to dim the lights, get a quill and some ink out, dude, and write some freehand poetry while the candles are lit. That type of stuff.
I mean, some of this I've talked about in my act. So usually anything that I've already talked about it was, one was at I guess an Indian casino or Native American casino.
Canceled.
Washington football team casino.
It was Washington football team, yeah. Why didn't they keep Washington football?
Dude, I know it's the
Such a
best
good name.
one. The Commanders sucks,
Such a good Washington football. I was like, you made you think, well, every team, we should be the Tennessee football team.
Yeah.
I was like, these names are all stupid.
Makes it easy.
Yeah. But so I went to that, and I remember it was like a 3-hour drive from Phoenix. And so I was out in Arizona. I drove to this casino to do this little one-nighter. I mean, this is, I'm nobody making no money.
Talking Stick Resort.
I wish. This was not even that. This was, I think I did some other kind of, it was like it was something I was making $150. But it was like, you know what? I'll just go drive to the middle of nowhere, Arizona, and then go back to Phoenix and then fly home. So I go out and I was like, oh, it'll be fun. And, you know, I'm thinking like, I'll just go to bed early, get up, have a nice drive back. Cause I'm like, I'm not going to be hanging out with anybody. And then, so we get done with the show, then I'm hanging out at the casino, then you just end up meeting like some fun dudes. And next thing you know, it's like, it's 5 a.m. and I'm just trying to go to bed. I got to get up at like 8 to drive 3 hours back. So I get up and I'm driving back, and I mean, I feel so awful. And when I have this in my joke, I walked out of the casino and there's like a wolf, like, and this really happened. There's a wolf like in my path to go to my car in the parking lot, and just sitting there staring at me. And I was like, you know, like, I don't know what this is. Like, it made me really, dude, I swear it was a wolf. And so I was like, this is insane, you know, because I was like, I don't, you know, what is that? Is it a wolf? Is it the guy I hung out with last night? I don't know.
Right.
And so I went.
Ooh, fucking Twilight.
He turned into a wolf. And now he's like, good day, sir.
Yeah.
And so I just went back inside, and I remember I just rolled my stuff back in the casino, and I just stood there. I mean, I'm not talking to anybody. And I just kind of stood inside for a second. And then I went back out, and then the wolf was gone. And so then I went to my car, and then I drove back. And then when I was driving back, I'm in middle of nowhere, Arizona, just on a road alone. And a helicopter lands in front of me and picks up like a life support, some guy on the side of the road, and then takes him and flies. And I have to wait for that to happen. And I'm so hungover that I'm like annoyed. I'm like, here we go. Like, you know, I mean, I've never had to stop for a helicopter in my life. I don't expect to ever do it ever again. And I handled that moment hungover just like, look at this. Every day. Helicopter.
Every day there's
goes,
something.
every day
There's
something.
something
Look
fucking
at
happening,
I'm
man.
not. I should have video of this. I should have pictures. I didn't do any of that. I just was like, I was like, can I get around him? Like, I mean, he's just in the middle of there's no buildings. There's just me, this helicopter. There's 5 of us. And it's the helicopter people, that guy, and me. And then finally it took off, and I kept driving. And so that was like that was a tough one. That was
sure all that happened?
I think so. I really, because it was the day after. It feels like so far away now, but yeah, that I do believe that all that stuff happened. And that was stuff like when I drank, like because I talk about that in my special and like on one of my specials or something. But it's those are moments that you're like such fun moments that you think at first when you first start drinking, you're like stop drinking. You're like, well, I'm not gonna now be fun anymore. But
you want the moment to live forever. Gotta keep it going.
Gotta keep it going. Yeah,
man.
Dude, thanks for coming on. I know you have a hard stop at 5, so we'll let you get out of here. Thank you for coming on. Thank this fly for being with us as well. That motherfucker's been around us.
He's been ripping around. He's been living his best life.
Yeah, bro, just rips around. I'm just sitting
That
here fucking seeing it.
He hit that damn light about 6 times. I thought he was going to electrocute.
Yeah, but thanks a lot, man. This has been fucking awesome.
Absolutely, man. Congrats to you guys too, y'all. It keeps blowing up. I love seeing it.
Thank you, bro.
It, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
All right. Let's get Nathan out of here, man. That fly was pissing.
You gotta host something.